Chase, our videos are crooked. Give me a second. Crooked video. We don't want that.
This way. No, this way. I need to go the other way.
Hi, Chase.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
After dark is the best kind of dark, and our videos are here to show it. I'm going to pop you back in here. Chase, happy E3.
It's like a dislocated shoulder. Pop it right back in.
Yeah. How's your night going? Things good?
Yeah. I had some chili dogs.
That's good. Is that because of Devolver?
It's not exactly. I had to make them.
But the marketing worked.
But it certainly helped, that's for sure.
What all do you put on your chili dog besides chili? Do you do like onions and all that shit, or are you just
I'm pretty simple. It's chili, it's cheese, and then like if I want to get real fancy, I sprinkle just a little bit of parsley flakes on the top, just to give it a little color. That's it.
What about a little crunch? Putting some Fritos on top of it? Nah, not for you. Too much work.
That's just wasteful at that point. Like the perfect condiment is meat.
Meat's a really good condiment.
Like how do you?
Meat's a really good condiment.
Just pop in something with more meat.
Yeah, the more meat, the better. Chase, you and I talked earlier this week. I think we even kind of alluded to it on some of the streams. First of all, last night's stream was a technical disaster. So anybody who's watching, we apologize here from the casual hour.
Johnny.
I blame Johnny always. There was some weird fucking build that I had going on with No Man's Sky that was just causing some major system crashes. But anyway, we talked about potentially like getting together and chatting about E3 as it's a big event in gaming, and Johnny's out of town. Him and his family took a little trip. So you said, hey, while Johnny's away, the mice will play. And
hopefully he doesn't come back.
Yeah, never, ever. But we're going to talk a little bit about, you and I haven't chatted much besides text today. So for no other reason than I just want to
decided to like work today, like some kind of weird retail work on a Saturday kind of thing.
And I paid for it dearly. Because
paying you.
Well, they did, but they took it out of my ass too.
Everyone paid for it.
Everybody did. But I did try to keep up a little bit through our text conversations. I went, friend of the show, Wario64, your nemesis when it comes to online gaming. I watched a few things that he was sharing out. And I should also make sure that our audio is working because we have a brand new scene here. So let me just pull up this here and see really quick.
We got some people in chat. Are we coming in okay?
We are good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay, good.
So, Chase, why don't you walk me through what tonight's going to look like?
Sure. I have watched. I wouldn't say I've watched everything. I had to catch back up on Day of the Devs. That happened after the what the hell was it called? Summer Game Fest.
Yep.
We both watched that, and then neither of us watched Day of the Devs. I caught up a decent amount on it, and then today, Saturday, when recording this, was the Wholesome Direct, and I watched all of that. And then it was the Ubisoft Forward, and then Gearbox did a thing, and I don't care.
I saw that Jeff Keighley put out a grade these people's presentations in a Twitter poll. Man, Gearbox is just at a fucking D. He wouldn't put an F on there, but it's a landslide D for them right now.
I remember, so I actually voted in that one. Not that one. I voted in the one for Ubisoft because that's the one I watched, and I gave it a C, but it was getting C's and D's mostly.
Yeah.
I don't even know anything that happened in Gearbox, so if you heard something, we could talk about it. But if it's about Wonderlands, I'm good. We're going to talk about Wonderlands here in a second anyway.
Do we have to?
But, we have to mention it. But
okay. This might be an awesome time for us to not that we like to look back too far here at the casual hour, but I'm just going to say we did an episode not that long ago where we talked about the potential worst video game character of all time. And man, I'll tell you what, if we were running that ship, there would not be a particular game being made right now. And it's really unfortunate, and we'll talk about it later because I think there's some interesting things they're doing, but I have no desire. Just none.
Yep. Same.
Well,
this could go on. I could see this thing going on 3 hours if we really wanted it to.
I know.
I don't think either of us want it to. So
Yeah,
let's start running through here. Let's start talking about some games here, and let's start from the start. Let's start with Summer Games Fest.
Yep.
That was on Friday, and it had some of the bigger news. I'm just going down this rock paper shotgun article. I don't have everything written out, so kind of nice. But they have their stuff out of order with kind of some bigger stuff up front. And the biggest thing, not to us, but the biggest thing is Elden Ring.
Elden
trailer, got a release date, January 21st, 2022. Bobby, don't worry, we don't have to deal with this for Game of the Year. That's a 2022 problem. To hear Johnny say some dumb shit about why it should be Game of the Year when obviously it won't be.
Right? I mean, is it even going to come out then? Is that a thing?
Well, they're saying January 21st, but yeah, who knows?
I mean, this is
I'll take them at their word.
This is some fucking Dark Souls ass Dark Souls, if you ask me.
They made another one. Like we just talked about this. We just talked about From on the show in our last deep dive when we were talking about Kingsfield and we were talking about Armored Core. But we even mentioned like Kingsfield is basically just Dark Souls, or rather, Dark Souls was Kingsfield. Kingsfield came first, and this just seems like another From game, which to be fair, a lot of people really like, and that's true. Exactly what people want. I know it's not our thing, so it's coming off a little flat to us, but for the people who are excited about this, they're crazy excited. And there was a horse that was running up the side of a mountain. So,
and I know that like what I've been hearing about this game is it's going to be more open world than what some of the Dark Souls games were, but I thought they were pretty open from what I recall with them. And then, as you mentioned, you'll be able to have a mount in this game. I've also heard that it might be a bit more action, like not as slow as some of their other titles. But judging from this trailer, this game looks to be very punitive.
Sure. I mean, and maybe it's like a mixture. Maybe they learned some stuff from Sekiro, and it's like, oh, what if we kind of mix these two ideas that we have together?
Right.
And that's fine. I think my biggest problem with Elden Ring is that it just looks like Dark Souls. Like not that it just plays like Dark Souls, but even the setting is very similar. Yeah. It's very dark.
Is it connected? Is it like a universal thing?
I don't think so. Okay. I think that's the point. I think to get away from the Souls franchise in a way,
sure.
It's like, oh, we aren't bogged down by all the item descriptions we've written before. This is a different world. These are different characters, but in some way.
It's a big deal. I mean, I didn't think that we would see this, let alone get a date for it. So my bets are already off as far as E3 is considered. And this was not even technically E3.
Right. Well, from one thing we don't care about to another thing, let's quickly mention Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Oh, boy. Okay. So
Gearbox made a DLC for Borderlands 2 a while ago. It was called Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep.
Yeah,
and I didn't play this either, but it was like a Dungeons and Dragons.
I believe game. They call it Bunkers and Badasses, is what the.
Yes, don't.
Yeah.
So it was like a D&D session as a Borderlands DLC, which is kind of a fun concept.
Sure.
Except Tiny Tina was the dungeon master, and so we had to deal with Tiny Tina stuff. But the idea was, anything can happen because the DM, who's Tiny Tina, can just say, and then there were a bunch of pirate zombies, and then they all just showed up, and it gives them a reason, some surprise, some fun. I get where that came from, and I guess they liked that idea enough that they said, well, what if we kind of did a game that's like that? And that's what it sounds like this is going to be. Tiny Tina is still like the DM of this thing. It's now it's now not set in Borderlands. This is a different kind of game. It is a fantasy thing.
Right. Look, anybody who has followed anything of our show, where we stand with Tiny Tina and Borderlands really overall.
But we're in a very difficult spot because you love Horizon Zero Dawn, which stars Aloy, and Aloy is voiced by Ashley Birch, the same person who voices Tiny Tina. I've had some stuff that I just don't like a lot of the stuff that she's written, and I certainly don't like Tiny Tina, which is not something she specifically wrote. That's Borderland writers who are to blame for that. But
Right.
like we both kind of have our ups and downs with her characters, and
Yeah.
and so it's tough. Like it'd be so easy to just write somebody off and go like, I just don't like any of their shit. But I do kind of like some of their shit a lot.
Yeah.
Which makes some of this other stuff really different.
And I think so. You and I've played through some Borderlands and we had a good time with it. But I look at what's going on with this, and I'm pretty intrigued by it. Honestly, like on paper, I think if this would have just been Wonderlands without the Tiny Tina like plastering all over it, I'd be like, all right, so it's going to be in that world, that universe. I like that you can create a character and customize a character. I think it's neat that they're introducing spells and adding a little bit more fantasy to that. Like, I'm cool with it. Like, I'm cool with them doing new things. I just cannot stand Tiny Tina. I think it's one of the most poorly written characters ever, and it just ruins it for me. Ruins it.
Well, here's the other problem is that it's that little Gearbox logo that shows up before stuff too. Like it is not just our problem with Tiny Tina. Gearbox as a company has had some real issues for the last couple of years now, especially at its leadership.
Yeah.
And they've gone from a USB at Medieval Times to Medieval Times the game.
I know.
So yeah,
and
what. That's enough. That's enough. We've given
one
enough.
last thing. I'm not gonna. They got some pretty big names voicing characters, and that's interesting in itself.
That's true. Totally pretty stacked cast. Like Andy Samberg, I remember being the first one they mentioned. I can't remember.
Wanda Sykes, Will Arnett.
Right. That's right.
There's some big names. And Ashley, she's pretty effective at voice acting. I'll give her that. I might not like what she's doing, but she can at least do it. And
yes, absolutely. I'll give her that.
What's next? We can wash our hands of that.
Well, we can get excited, but we can't completely wash our hands of everything here. The next thing up that we all were pretty taken by surprise was Metal Slug Tactics.
Yeah.
Man, we have now become, especially you and me here at the Casual Hour, have become these turn-based tactical geniuses, aficionados,
pro tactic gamers.
Sure, absolutely. And this feels like it's in that mold. It's bringing back these classic Metal Slug characters and turning what used to be a 2D shooter into an isometric kind of top-down looking like turn-based strategy game, which sounds rad. I'm all into that. The reason we can't completely wash our hands is because SNK as a company is a little weird right now. It is owned by some people out in Somani, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So but it's not being specifically made. Like that's just who the ownership of the titles goes to.
Right.
This is being made by .emu, who are the same people who are working on the new Turtles game, Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah.
And have done a lot of pretty cool pixel art, both remake stuff and some new stuff with pixels. And this thing looked awesome.
Yeah.
I think that trailer looked really, really good.
I'll back it up a little bit here because it's gonna sneak past it.
It's maybe the most exciting thing or the most interesting thing to me that I've seen at all.
Yeah, I want to know more about like how are they doing some of the tactical stuff with it? What does that look like? I think the look is there for me. I think it looks really great. Watching the trailer again here, I really like the blend of gameplay and the blend of the cinematics. It feels like a Saturday morning cartoon, and like I'm here for it, man. Like I think, especially after what you mentioned, the year that we've had with tactic-based games and where that's going to continue to go, like this is 100% something that I can tell you with certainty, you will see this on a Casual Monday stream. Like no questions asked. Like we'll be playing this game.
And especially with intelligent systems going further down the Fire Emblem hole.
Yep.
There's that Advance Wars franchise they made a while ago. And this has big Advance Wars energy in a way that we have not gotten in a long time.
Yeah,
and
this was a huge surprise. and I think what a like just an awesome thing. Like, I mean, we fucking cover games all week long, every week. This one was not on my radar at all, so that's really cool.
Didn't leak, unlike some other exciting things that we heard about later, which we'll get to in quite a bit. But this was something that was pretty big. Jeff Keighley brought his good friend Hideo Kojima on to basically say nothing. Actually, not say nothing. He talked a lot about 9/11, which was weird choice.
It was a weird thing to talk about.
Very odd choice.
Yeah.
He talked about how his games, especially Death Stranding, was like this really prescient thing. He tries to think about what happens like 5-10 years in the future. I didn't realize that the stuff I wrote would be so prescient. It's actually just coming. It's happening now.
I have to change out how I'm creative. And on one hand, I get it. You know, like everybody was in their houses getting deliveries for a year. It was weird, but by no means that I think that you need to stop your approach, because people seem to like your approach quite a bit. And
I mean, I think it's odd. Like it's fine. Yes, it is a little bit prescient. You read the tea leaves in a way,
right?
But also, what the fuck are you doing talking to us about this? Like,
right?
Like it seemed like some weird victory lap, and then also like a victory lap for COVID.
It's
hey man, you know, I kind of predicted COVID.
It's like Ray at the end of fucking Ghostbusters. What did you do, Ray? It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's basically him just saying, look, I shouldn't have made the game. COVID wouldn't have happened. I'm sorry. Okay, look, I'm sorry.
It was very odd. And then Keeley's out there going like, okay, so can you tell us anything about your new game? He's like, no, of fucking course not. I'm Hideo Kojima. I'm not going to do that. Not here.
Yeah.
Not now. But what we did get is even stupider, which is we're getting Death Stranding, the director's cut. Because apparently Hideo Kojima did not have enough creative control already. I thought that was the whole point.
Yeah.
Wasn't the whole point of him leaving Konami?
Like, who told him not to do anything?
Right. So, I mean, Sony was like, hey, we only have so much money you can spend. But like, dude, you got to make your game, and you made it, and you know, it was weird, but I continue to look back fondly on Death Stranding in a way that is very puzzling to me. Like, why did I like this game so much? I don't know.
When I first saw them pull this up, I was like, oh, okay, there's going to be a PS5 version of this now. And maybe that's what this is going to end up being as well, but it certainly seems like they're adding some more stuff into it, which...
Yeah, the whole trailer is very classic Kojima of, hey, look at how, you know, I predicted COVID, 9/11. But also here's a trailer for my new thing, and it's like 5 minutes of Sam Bridges
playing with oranges,
like playing with a box, like ha, remember I made Metal Gear, yeah, I could get in this box like it was Metal Gear, and then he doesn't get in the box, or he kind of gets in the box.
He fucking cannonballs into the box,
right, but the wrong way. Like,
I know.
You got to put the box up the other way. I don't know what any of this was, and then it was like director's cut, and the guy, okay, whatever.
It's a bit pretentious.
I think I'm done with Death Stranding. Like, I don't see a need to go back to it. They had that. What was the DLC that came out? That was like, here's a new bike.
It was Cyberpunk. It was Cyberpunk.
Right. Cyberpunk bike.
But wasn't there also like something that was a tie-in to an anime? Like, wasn't there some sort of like Akira or something like that? No.
Yeah, there might have been an Akira bike. Now that you mention it,
I thought there was something that was like tied. There was definitely there was a few tie-ins, more of like not.
Well, the
story.
Original game had the tie-ins of
Monster Energy and Piss.
Well, Monster Energy, sure, but no, the AMC show, The
Walking Dead.
No, no, but like, I forgot Sam's real name. Like, what's the actor's name?
Daryl.
Well, that's the Walking Dead.
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus, thank you.
We got there.
It was Norman Reedus's Ride.
Yeah,
that was the AMC show. So like you'd go and take a shower or whatever, and it would give you ads in the shower, and it would
Right
say,
over
like,
his
Norman
ass.
Reedus' ride, and you could get like a Norman Reedus ride specific bite.
Oh my god.
We need to run through some stuff. Let's keep
Yeah.
going. They brought on Jeff Goldblum, who made fun of Jeff Keighley's name because it's Jeff, but spelled differently. I love Jeff Goldblum, but also
It was Jeff
did not
Goldblum.
need to be here. It was a little too Jeff Goldblum for me.
Yeah.
He came to announce Jurassic World Evolution 2. I don't know why you need a second park builder.
You never played that one, right?
I played the demo of it, and I did not end up liking it. Like it just didn't feel all that good. And also they've made Jurassic Park builders before, and they've been kind of whatever. I don't know why. Who's clamoring for this game?
Park builders find a way, Chase.
I guess so. Salt and Sacrifice, which is made by the Salt and Sanctuary studio. That is like a 2D Dark Souls kind of thing. Salt and Sacrifice looks like more and new of that. This has some color to it, which is different from Salt and Sanctuary. But again, we're not the biggest Dark Souls people here, so we'll let Johnny talk about that at some point. I'm going to skip through some of this stuff to find stuff that I was excited about.
Sable?
Yeah, we'll get to Sable. That's a big thing for sure. We got a new trailer for Solar Ash. I think Solar Ash looks real good. It was a very quick trailer, but that game looks like Shadow of the Colossus. You are riding on that big flying thing and attacking points on its body.
You excited?
Really, really good.
Excited for that one, right?
Yeah, very excited. I'll definitely play that. Tales of Arise got a new trailer. I remember Tales of Arise. God, was it 2 E3s ago? Maybe it was a while back, wasn't it? Where we saw a trailer of this, and it was like, "Holy shit, this looks good!" And then we found out it was a Tales game. It doesn't look like any Tales game I've ever seen, because it just looks so smooth and flowy with the action. I thought that stuff looked really, really good, and this trailer also looked good. Got me really excited, and I have normally not cared about Tales games. It's just not a franchise.
Is this going to be? Did they say what it's coming out to?
Let's see. I'm not seeing it. Let me try to skip through this trailer. Let's see here. It looks like PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC. So everything but Switch.
Now, I think this is I guess this is a good enough time as any. We all have talked about a potential Switch Pro or new Switch, Super Switch, whatever it's going to be. I'm curious, especially for some of these later games, like if it was a hardware limitation and they are like beefing up the processor and screen and resolution, all that fun shit on the Switch, maybe the porting will. I have to imagine the porting will come. And
yeah, well, it's possible if this thing is actually happening. What's going to happen if this thing's real, and it sounds like it's real.
Yep.
That's going to be Tuesday when Nintendo has their Direct. And I'm sure that would be a part of it, where they would announce, here's our new Switch Pro, whatever the fuck it's going to be called. And I imagine that because we're in this weird area where it's E3 time, so we have to show our trailers, but also the Switch Pro hasn't been announced yet, so we can't say it. I bet there are a lot of these games that probably are already coming to Switch. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Tales of Arise actually is coming to Switch, but it's only to the Switch Pro, the Switch Plus, the new Switch, whatever.
Right.
And they wait until right after the Direct to say, oh, by the way, we're on that too.
Yeah.
Like, we just couldn't say it.
For sure.
That's definitely happened before. There's definitely been console launches, or not console launches, consoles reveals, where then everyone will go like, we said next-gen platforms. It's that one.
Here we are.
Like, we just couldn't say it was that one until now, because now you know what it's called.
Yep.
So that could be a thing. But either way, I think Tales of Arise looked really good. Back for Blood. I think we knew a little bit about this before it came. They talked about it a little bit before.
Did you see the news on that one this morning?
I don't think so.
Back for Blood is confirmed. Day and date release on Game Pass for both console and PC now.
That's cool.
Makes sense. I think that's a good place for it. But
Totally.
Uh,
And they've had some issues with some of the other games they made, right? Or
mhm.
is this so? This is the Left 4 Dead people,
Yep,
but they are not at Valve anymore.
correct.
So that's why it's not Left 4 Dead. But even
It's
after leaving Valve, they made a couple other things, right? Did they make Evolution? The
maybe.
Was that like the 4-person one where you hunted that big monster?
Is that Eve? Or not Eve, but Ark?
The studio or the game?
The game.
No, it's different. It's different than Ark. Anyway, I could be wrong. But Back for Blood, they're making a Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
They just can't
Yeah.
call it Left 4 Dead. They're making one.
It looks just like it.
It does, and that's cool. I think it's a little late for me. I think that was a series I played back then,
Yeah.
and not necessarily one I need to pick back up. I think I'm pretty done with zombies at this point altogether, and this is, as many fond memories as I have of Left 4 Dead. I'm probably okay, but it does look nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's cool that they're making stuff that they like, and there's obviously been some demand for more Left 4 Dead. It's got a pretty devout following, and I look at it similar to how Obsidian made which one is there's Outer Worlds? The Outer Worlds, right? Not Outer Wilds. Yeah. They're Outer Worlds.
Wilds is the other one. Worlds is the.
So I look at like how Obsidian made, their take on what they did with the Fallout formula, and basically did a better job than Bethesda has done in years with that shtick. And we'll see. Like, maybe that game scratches the itch. I know on the PC sector of things, people really like that game GTFO quite a bit, and I think it's a bit more of a hardcore version of that, but still relies on classes and co-op. So we'll see. I mean, Game Pass is certainly going to be a nice shot in the arm for them to get people checking that game out.
Definitely. We got a Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin trailer, which, I'm super hyped on that game. That has a chance to be my game of the year, considering how much I loved the original on 3DS. Everything I saw in there looked really cool. Just keeps looking good.
It looks
that game comes
really
out
good
soon too.
It comes out weeks, yeah,
literal weeks. Pretty excited.
I'm excited too, because I think there'll be some sort of I'm seeing here in the trailer when it gets to it, but I'm pretty sure if you have a save state from Monster Hunter Rise, you get some in-game gear here, and vice
you'll
versa.
Get some bonus to lord over me. Like, hey Chase, look at this. If you played Monster Hunter Rise, like, I don't play bad games.
I'm excited. So I played the first one briefly on my iPad, and I was hoping they would have controller support. And it's fine. Like, they did the best they could to design it for touch, but I was pretty jealous of, you guys had that experience on the 3DS, and it sounded like that game kicked a lot of ass. So when it was announced for the Switch, knowing that I do like a couple entries in the Monster Hunter franchise, I'm excited, because I think this one will only deepen some of my knowledge for some of the monsters and the characters, but also, like, I just think it looks really fucking cool. It's got such a good look to it, and if it plays from a combat perspective like the first one, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there for it.
The first game had kind of a Saturday morning cartoon look to it, and this one is definitely gotten a little bit more mature. The combat from the first one I found to be interesting. Although I do hope there's a little bit more control you get over your monster. A lot of it was guessing what your companion monster was going to do, and hoping you did the attack that would jive with that. So I'm hoping there are ways to kind of make that a little bit more strategic and a little less luck based. But I'm still super excited about that. There were a couple other things, smaller shit. It's kind of funny. We were talking in the deep dive about Soul Calibur secret characters or guest characters, and how 2B showed up in 6, and now there's a 2B Fall Guys skin.
That's weird. I'm sorry. That's weird, man.
It's very odd. And then let's talk about Sable. You mentioned Sable. Sable is
man. I'm gonna pass up here for that.
We had Japanese Breakfast come on and perform one of the songs from Sable.
She did the score for that fucking game, man.
Yeah. This looks good.
I've sent
Sounds
you
good.
a few artists over the last couple years, and I haven't. I think maybe one of her songs might be on a mix I sent you, but you should check her out. She's really good. But
I've purchased this new album. Yes.
Man, the more I see this game, Chase, the more I am just like I'm here for it, and this looks to be a very special one.
Yeah, Jubilee is the name of her newest album, which
Jubilee.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a couple E3s ago where we first saw Sable at Microsoft during their ID at Xbox piece of their presentation, and all we really got was like a second of that Sable character going on like some hovercraft over some desert. And that was enough for me to go, I want to know what this is. I want to know what this is. And that's all we really got. We didn't get much more than that.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like I didn't even know what Sable was, but I knew that I wanted it. And now we've gotten some new trailers about what this is. We've gotten some gameplay footage from the very beginning of that game. And I'm starting to get a sense of what it is. It's kind of going around through some temples, doing some platforming, doing probably some fetch questy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the writing looks pretty good. It looks slick in the way you move around. I like some of the power stuff, the hover power that you get at the end of that like 13-minute trailer of the beginning of that game.
Yep.
And then it's still just such a looker.
Yeah.
Like you get on that first kind of speeder bike thing that's like this junker thing, and you just make a little loop, and just the way it trails the sand as you go. Man.
Do you think there's any possibility that this is a Game Pass game?
I would think so. Yeah. I could see that happening. And did they still haven't announced any other platforms, right? It is just Xbox and PC
right now. Yeah. And I don't know if this was something like, I don't think the studio is affiliated with Microsoft, but I think that maybe there was some sort of support. I'm honestly kind of surprised they didn't do any sort of game preview. Like, they've been hard at work on this. I know the studio putting the game out has been on TikTok recently, sharing some clips there as well. And it seems like they're just a small group that's just pretty committed to the vision behind it. I think them being at E3, like looking back at like where that was and now in COVID, like that was pretty early, but shit, the game continues to press it around every corner, and there's been some hands-on experiences that people are talking about now, and they're all for it. They did mention also that on Tuesday, so it's the 12th right now, Saturday the 12th, on Tuesday, they're going to do another one of those Xbox demo celebrations, and Sable is a game that you'll be able to check a demo out if you have an Xbox. I don't know if that'll be on PC Xbox or if it's just the console itself, but you will be able to get your hands on and get a taste, because that game is still a few months out, but yeah, it's cool they got that going on.
They did announce a date though, which is pretty big, and that is September 23rd. So this year coming out. That's exciting. Reading through the Wikipedia page of this, it's funny. It's obvious, but it's funny. It says the game's concept came from the planet Jakku on Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, that is here. I've got one. Here's Rey's fucking speeder.
Yeah.
Like when it just flew across Jakku, it's like that's the coolest looking shit. That's why I bought that Lego set. And this game looks like the game. That's what I'm looking.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. My question for you, Chase, is: are you willing to fire up your Xbox to play it?
Will I dust off an Xbox? Yeah, I can dust off an Xbox with that. There are actually a couple games I'm probably going to have to do that with.
Yeah.
That look pretty good. Was there anything else you remember from Summer Game Fest that you want to mention, or can we move on? There were definitely other announcements, but I know we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there was... What's the other one? I'm just doing a quick scan here. They did show off something at the end of that for Oxenfree. I didn't see a lot there. Was it in this one? Yeah, Toem. I want to talk about that really quick. I'm going to pull this up here.
Toem was Day of the Devs. That came right after this. So you want to move right into Day of the Devs?
Yeah, we can do other shit before Toem. I'm just really excited for Toem.
Yeah, no, I mean let's jump into that because Day of the Devs was the very next stream. Like if you just stayed watching the Summer Game Fest stream, you would have ran into this Day of the Devs, which had a bunch of really cool stuff. So yeah, let's start jumping into that. Toem, I think, is the second thing on this. So let's just run through this first one really quickly. Axiom, it's a popular Metroidvania game that went out to a lot of things. I think was it exclusive to Switch at one point, or like Axiom Verge 2 supposed to be exclusive to Switch at one point?
Yes, it was. It was something that was shown off at one of the Nintendo Directs. I think that has since changed.
Yes, the game is now coming to PC via the Epic Game Store. It's also coming to Switch and coming to PlayStation sometime soon, it says.
Did you play the first one?
I played a very tiny bit, and I thought it was okay. I do not like Metroidvanias. Extremely few have I found that I've really enjoyed, and I don't even know why I enjoy them. Like Guacamelee, Gato Roboto from recent. I mean, I just talked about that game on the podcast a handful of weeks ago. But it's not very often that I like these games. Something like Hollow Knight, I bounced right off of. Metroid games I bounce off of all the time. Castlevania stuff. It's just not my genre. Axiom Verge seems like a cool one of those.
You played Cave Story, right? You like Cave Story.
I do like Cave Story. I would not. Well, yeah, you know what? Cave Story is totally a Metroidvania. Now that I think about it, I did enjoy Cave Story.
This one looks to be a bit different than the other one, though.
Definitely from like its higher production values. Like, definitely a higher. I don't know if it's necessarily a higher resolution, but it looks like better pixel art or more advanced pixel art. Some more outdoor settings. The first one was very oppressive. You're in some caves.
Yeah, it was
digital shit going on, and this is a little bit more outdoorsy.
I bounced off that first one pretty hard. I'm open to the idea of what they're doing here because I think that they've really explored some concepts. I want to get some either like a demo or I'd like to hear some people talk about it, but I know that this game has quite a following and people who like this game really like this game. And I'd like to see a bit more like what's different. Is it a bit more approachable? So yeah, I'm curious for sure.
Definitely. So next one here is Toem. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about Toem?
Yeah, so Toem has this really awesome black and white, like I don't want to say it's hand drawn, but it's definitely got a distinct look. It's got some style to it, and this is a photo adventure where you are running and doing some quests, but you have a photo album that you're putting these random photos that you take, and you can do some editing to them, which I think is really cool. The style for me is just like it looks like something. It's so fucking pristine. Like the style that they're going for on this, it's not Flash by any stretch, but it's got a clean illustration to it. The writing seems to be done really well. I don't know why I'm getting Night in the Wood vibes from this game, but
I get it.
I think that it's also it's cool that the game is asking you to go and explore its world, but like also document that. And we talked about. Well, you did a quick look with Johnny, but then we talked about on the show with Pokemon Snap and how there's still some restrictions with that. And this one seems to maybe celebrate your artistic stylings a little bit more and how you take some of those photos, which I think is cool. But it's also an interesting way that they have you interact with characters and world and set pieces. So it's neat.
There are a handful of games that we've seen, and we're going to talk about some more here when we get to something like the Wholesome Direct. There were a lot of games that you can tell somebody grew up playing Pokemon Snap.
Oh yeah,
it's like we just have a lot of photo taking games that are definitely of that ilk.
Yeah,
but yeah, Toem looks rad. It says that it's set to release on Steam this summer. Hopefully, it comes to some consoles eventually.
Yeah.
But
This
I mean,
this screams Switch to me.
it does. It does. Like, thankfully, I've got Umurangi Generations that I
Yeah.
can
That just
pop
came
in
out,
if
right?
I want to play. Yeah, it just came out, so I've got something that if I'm looking for an indie game that does a lot of photography stuff, I've got one ready to go. I just
Yep.
need to hit play on it.
Well, I
Um,
will be picking this one up this summer for sure. I don't know if I can wait for a console, even though I think the Switch would be a really fun place to play it. I'll probably just grab this as soon as I can because I think it looks really neat.
yeah, I will be on that quick look with you.
Nice.
We got a trailer for Phantom Abyss, which I find to be kind of interesting. It's published by Devolver Digital, so when we get to the Devolver stuff, it showed up there too. Um, I think this is interesting, even though I don't really like what I'm seeing that much.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it's these procedurally generated dungeons
Yep.
that are then saved. They're generated, but then saved and shown and put out to multiple players. But whoever finishes a dungeon, that dungeon then is like owned by them and is never seen by anybody again. You're the only one. Only one
Yeah.
person gets to complete any one dungeon, and that's a pretty cool thing. And these dungeons are basically just as much Indiana Jones shit as you can throw in there. Spikes,
Including the
boulders.
whip.
Yeah, it has a whip in there. It looks like it has some ghosts in there, so you can kind of learn from the mistakes of other
Well,
players.
so that what's crazy about that? So every ghost or phantom that you're seeing, this is an asynchronous multiplayer game. And so every single person that you see in the game is somebody who has failed at the run through this dungeon cave, whatever you want to call it, which I think that's really cool from a multiplayer standpoint. And you can, to your point, see, oh, they fucked up here, or there's a lot of people here that disappear, so this must be a tough spot. So I think that's cool.
And I think one of the other interesting things about it, I'm gonna go back to Kojima here. Kojima had this idea a long time ago that he talked about that he thought was, he kind of joked about it, but the idea was that he wanted to send you a disc, and if you died in the game, the disc would disintegrate, and you could never play that game again. And of course, it's not cost effective. That'd be stupid. What are you doing? Haha, fun high concept thing, but that's just not
Right.
possible. That's what this does.
Yeah.
You can not only can only one person finish a particular dungeon, if you die in a dungeon, you will never go back and see that dungeon again.
Isn't that
You're just
wild?
not allowed. So when you see somebody's ghost, every one of those ghosts, that is their first and only playthrough
Yeah.
on that.
That's
It
nuts.
seems it's an interesting thing. It's a game that is definitely going for a kind of spelunky knowing of the mechanics of a skill that you get as you play.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to see some stats of that game after a year or so.
Totally.
But that it doesn't necessarily look like a game I want to play myself, but it's something that I'm really fascinated to see how an audience reacts to it and what just from an experimental standpoint, what do people do with this thing?
Yeah, I'm very curious from it. It goes early access here. I want to say June or July on Steam. So if it might be worth picking up just to see
Yeah.
like what's happening behind the scenes here. Like I'm pretty curious about this.
Yeah, it says early access on Steam this month, so we'll see soon. Next is Garden Story, which we've talked about on the podcast before, I believe. We've had some
I've
news.
played this.
Did we?
I
I haven't.
no,
You must have.
this was available around this time last year. Actually, they had a demo that came out during quarantine. It might have been like just another one of those Steam game previews, but
Mm.
it's very charming. It does a really good job at being kind of a oh my god, Harvest Moon,
Like
or like a
Yeah, like a
Stardew.
Stardew thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that is kind of what I'm getting. That's another thing that showed up. This game also showed up in the Wholesome Direct, and there were a lot of other games that were similar to this. What's the one that Johnny played? The iOS one that came to Switch. Cozy Grove. Like
yes,
it's got a very Cozy Grove vibe. Like all of these games of, hey, go out and collect some stuff, craft some stuff, help us
yeah,
rebuild the community center, whatever. Like all of these there's so many of these kinds of games. This one I think looks really good. It makes me want to play it, but I think about like you have Cozy Grove. You have like we're at McDonald's. We want McDonald's. We want McDonald's. We got McDonald's at home.
Yeah.
McDonald's at home is Cozy Grove. Like I've got that. And
Right.
then Hardee's at home is Stardew Valley over there. That's
Dude,
even further back.
I don't think that you can play any of these until you at least fire up Stardew and just
that's
give that.
That's a fair point. That's the one.
I mean, I like what's happening with Cozy, Wholesome, whatever you want to call them, games. These, like I love Ooblets, I love Stardew. Like I like those types of games a whole lot. This one, it did not grab me as quickly as some of these other ones have, but again, it was an early demo. It looks like they put a lot of effort into it. It's certainly a good looking game. I just don't know, to your point, if I already have some of these, like, do I really need this one? And
yeah, I think the thing that's really selling me on it compared to some of these other games that do similar things is it looks a lot like, and I cannot remember the name of this game. It came out a few years ago.
I know what you're talking about. It's the one that had the islands that you could go and expand to, and you basically just broke the game, and it had like I know exactly what. God damn it!
And that game was so cool. I loved that game, and it was just kind of this. It was I wouldn't say it was thin, but it was just progression the game, but this has a very similar look to it. And
what was that game? I'm gonna look it up. You keep talking.
It's a single word.
Yeah.
It's like it's like scavenger, or it's something short
Forager.
like that.
Forager. There it is. Forager.
We did it. We're smart.
We're smart.
We know things.
Forager's a fucking great game. I think Forager, let me double check. I think that this came to mobile also, by the way.
Did it really? That's a pretty good space for it. I loved it on Switch. If somebody's looking for something that's going to take them, maybe a week to finish with just a handful of little sessions, but something you can... That is one of those crafting games that I really, really liked.
Hey, if there would have been a Wholesome Direct a few years ago, Forager would have been on it.
I don't know. That game's got a bunch of skeletons and zombies and shooting and slicing stuff. I bet they'd stay away from it, but it's in a very similar vein for sure. Forager out on iOS now.
$8 on iOS.
Okay, so not an Apple Arcade game. That's real iOS.
And the port seems to be getting some really good ratings. It's got a 4.5 out of 5 right now for the mobile port.
Nice. Worth checking out. I'm going to skip through a couple things because I know I'll pick them back up when I get to the Wholesome Direct. Let's talk about A Musical Story, because I think that was a very impressive trailer.
Yep.
Where this is kind of a visual novel, but smashed with a I don't even know if it's really a rhythm game. You're just making
rhythm elements to it.
Yeah. It's got a really good look to it. Kind of like a minimalish, really nice illustrated art style to it.
Yep.
Very, very cool looking. It's set in the 70s, so it has kind of a Pink Floyd-y, Led Zeppelin. That's what they're saying their influences in terms of the music. Even the story seems like it. It's driving in your VW van as you're going to gigs and dealing with some drug addiction stuff. And
you're in a coma, right?
I didn't see enough of that trailer, but it does look really good.
The cool thing, or I don't know if it's a cool thing, but the thing that I find interesting on this is it's your character, I believe, is the guitar player. And the guitar player is in a coma, remembering things about the band. And I believe
his name is Gabriel. I think his name's Gabriel.
There was an album that came out the early 2000s by the Mars Volta that was based off of their keyboardist had OD'd and went into a coma, and the album was the concept of the album was the band entering into the coma to try and pull this person out of the coma. And I think there's some stuff here that reminds me a lot of that story from that Mars Volta. Deleuze in the Comatorium, I think, or Deleuze or Deleuze, whatever is the name of the album by the Mars Volta, which is a pretty fucking good album too.
This game looks great.
It looks good.
It's coming to basically everything: PC, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, iOS. All coming this summer. There's a free demo on Steam right now if you want to go and see what it's all about.
I should download that.
That might be worth a quick look from us.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of that game. Let's see. Skipping through here, I thought the Wandering Village looked kind of good, even though if it's just it's another Stardew Valley kind of thing. But here's the twist: the farm that you're making, the city that you're building, is on top of like this giant turtle monster, and
Yeah.
that looks kind of cool. And you're actually building the city to try to have like a symbiotic relationship with this turtle. You're gonna take the toxins that land on this turtle and get rid of them, and
That's
then
a cool concept.
yeah, it's a little bit like Black and White, the Peter Molyneux series that he
Yep.
made before Fable and that kind of stuff. But it's got kind of that God game view to it, but also a little city builder in there.
Yep.
Seems kind of interesting. That's
For sure.
That's it's coming to Steam Early Access later this year, sometime after September. We got a trailer for Unbeatable, which is a game that Bobby and I did a quick look for. If you want to see more about that, that was part of the. That was something you kickstarted? Is that why you got
There
that
is a
demo?
Kickstart for it. This because of the Kickstarter, they unlocked the white tape demo, which is on Steam, and they have a few songs on
Gotcha.
there as well. Um, I want to see more of what this game is in between the rhythm, because I love a lot of what's happening with this game. It's got an awesome soundtrack to it. I ended up picking that soundtrack up as DLC for the white label or the white tape demo, whatever it is. But they don't really give you a lot of what the social stuff is between the game, and it sounds like your character has some baggage that you're going to be unpacking in the game. But it looks gorgeous. It's got style for days. I am just not quite sure. Like, rhythm games are what I want to spend a ton of my time with. So I want to see how they offset that, because there's a full campaign that's going with it, and I'm very curious about it. I liked so far what I'm seeing. I just want to see a bit more of the non-rhythm stuff.
Sure. Speaking of games that are kind of anime inspired, we have Behind the Frame, which I thought showed really well. It's
Behind the frame.
yeah, it's a first person game. It's got some puzzle stuff in it. You're a painter who
Oh
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
This one looks really
So,
cool.
so for the Rock Paper Shotgun article, here's what it says: it's first person with some puzzly bits. It's about a painter preserving memories and uncovering secrets in her apartment. It has a few point and click aspects and seems like a delightful slice of life kind of story. No set launch date. Coming soon to Steam though. I think it showed up in the Wholesome Direct too.
It did.
Did we learn more about it there?
Uh, they showed a little bit of the action for it. Give me 1 second. I will pull that up
I don't have the
here.
trailer, but I can see on the wholesomegames.com website it has a Steam logo, it has an App Store logo, and an Android logo. So it's coming to mobile as well as PC.
So they did say
Sure.
it's more of uh, a narrative based game that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a really cool piece where she was looking at her window and saw her neighbor, who looked to be ill, also
Yeah.
painting. And I'm curious if there's going to be some sort of relationship that you can develop there. And they show that here in the trailer that we're watching right now. Um, I I think that this game could be really special. For you, you've always, like, when you explain an anime to me, you'll be like, hey, it has like a 90s anime look to it.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who's not as versed as you, I kind of get that vibe from the style I'm seeing here with some of the art, and I think it looks really, really pretty. The one thing they did talk about at the Wholesome Direct was it's got a completely original soundtrack, and that with the little bit of the soundtrack they did play sounded really good. So I think that sound design is going to be a big aspect of that, because I don't think there's any voiceover work. I think it's just going to be more written text with the soundtrack. So it could be a really, like, we talked about games with heart or games that care, games that made you feel, some categories that we have for our game of the year. I could see this type of game showing up. A lot of these games actually could cross some of those lines off.
Totally. Yeah, like the only bummer that I have, you mentioned the thing about 90s anime or whatever. Um, Everybody's just like, "Oh yeah, looks like a Ghibli movie." Like it doesn't. It doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't. Like
Yeah.
not every anime inspired thing looks like a Studio Ghibli movie. Like
Sure.
please, like we gotta have more touchstones than just the one. Like come on, man.
Yep.
It doesn't even really look like. Yeah, never mind. That's me on a soapbox. Um, Moving through, there was only I think there was really only one more thing that I was super excited about from the Day of the Devs showcase, and that was and I get to be Bobby here. Like, I don't, forgive me if I butcher this word, because it is said in Ecuador, so I believe this is Spanish or Portuguese, one of the two for sure. Despelote, which I believe means ball. I think
Okay.
that means ball. And it's a game
Despelote.
about football. Actually, it probably just means football, right?
Yes.
No, because it would be football. I don't know. I don't know. Ball in Spanish is, I don't know. I'm just gonna say I don't know, but I do know this game looks really rad. It is. Let me just read the rock paper shotgun thing. Despelote is a first-person, hand-drawn slice of life game about football, and I mean soccer football, not football football. Set in
Football.
Ecuador in 2001, before the country was about to qualify for the World Cup. It's a reflection of the developers' personal experiences playing football in the park when they were kids. There's no news of a release date, but one of the really cool things I think are the backgrounds, the environment art
Yeah.
here. It was recreated from photographs,
Oh,
but it
neat.
is all monotone colors,
Yeah.
and so it is just like it's more than a filter, but it's got a really good look, and then all the characters and interactable things are all flat 2D black and white images on the top of these things. It's just got a real unique look to it compared to some other things that I've seen. And to be clear, there are a ton of games that got shown at Day of the Devs, at Wholesome Direct, at lots of places that were like, oh, it's a 3D environment, but look at all these 2D characters we have.
Right.
And it's like, that's not unique, but this, even though it fits into that bill, has a totally unique style to it that I think just rules. I would love to see more of this game. I feel like this is something that's going to end up being PC only,
Probably.
but I would love to see this on a thing that I could play.
Chase, I'd like to talk about a game before we move on from Day of the Devs. It might,
Sure.
I don't know if it shows up in the Wholesome or not, but it's a game that I've been really excited for, and that's Moon Globe Bay.
Sure.
And
It did show up in Wholesome Direct, but please talk about it here.
man, so this is like cozy core to the max.
Uh-huh.
You are fishing in an area where I think, if I'm not mistaken, like fishing is like either forbidden or people are scared of
It,
fish.
it's a flash dance. It's a fish dance.
Yeah,
It's a
fish
fish
dance.
dance situation. This town, I believe it says they're scared. I
Yeah,
think they said they're scared to fish.
scared to
So you're the
fish.
only fisherman in this town that's scared to fish.
And they're bringing in all the social link aspects too, of like, catching fish for people or getting to know more about people. It's got this real cool voxel look to it, and you are running errands. As I mentioned, you're building relationships. It's got a ton of charm, a ton of style. It looks really cool. I think the look is stellar. I keep saying that about a lot of these games, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's true. They all look really fucking cool.
It's a lot of good looking games.
Video games look good. But this one, it looks like a really neat blend of some of those fetch quest things that we've talked about, the slice of life, of course. But I think that you can do some pretty significant upgrading to your boat and your gear, and I like to tinker. I hadn't seen this yet. This map is really slick. The
It's
map they
nice.
pull up for the town is really cool. So this has been on my radar for some time. I can't wait to see what the full finished product is. Really excited for this one.
Yeah. As a person who really enjoyed Steven Universe,
Yep.
this has like a tone is extremely Steven Universe in, hey, you just want to help people,
Yep.
and you're in kind of this beachy. This is a bay. This is kind of like a fishing village, whereas Steven Universe is like beach city. It's more of like a beach oceany kind of thing, but it's a very similar vibe, and I like that vibe. I would totally play this.
Yeah,
It's coming to Steam and the Epic Game Store and Xbox Game Pass for PC later this year. I didn't see anything announced for
it's
consoles.
Double Fine, right? Is that who made this one?
No, no.
No.
They might be publishing it. Let me see. I can find a here's the about sections, meeting the team. What's the
Oh, it's got a
developer
museum
name?
too that you can donate to. That's awesome.
Coat Sync.
Okay.
Here, wait, is Coat Sync the developer or the publisher? Moonglow Bay Bunny Hug is the developer. Coat Sync is
That
the
that all checks
publisher.
out for what we're seeing here.
Yes,
So
definitely.
Chase, it sounds like that's going to be kind of locked into PC. Maybe you and I can quick
Yeah,
look, do some stuff with it there.
yeah. Let me check one more time on this Wholesome thing. It does say Xbox,
Okay.
and it said Xbox Game Pass on the day of the devs, but they might have announced actual Xbox on the Wholesome Direct. Not sure.
Cool.
Anyway, now we can officially move on from Day of the Devs and talk more specifically about Wholesome Direct, even though there was definitely a lot of overlap. And now I have some notes. I didn't have notes for the other stuff, so I was just kind of going off some other things that I had read.
Sure.
For the Wholesome Direct, just generally, I appreciate that the Wholesome Direct is a thing. I think it gives a lot of eyeballs on games that normally would not get those eyeballs, and that's cool. It's
Yeah.
good that we're getting a lot more awareness for games. Um, like we kind of mentioned earlier, I think there is, you know, there is a there's like a wholesome quota that it seems like people are going for. How
Yeah.
many boxes can we check? Does your game have fishing? That's a check. That's a wholesome check. Does your game have any sort of like crafting to rebuild a town kind of
Yeah.
aspect? That's a check. This
Animals.
year, does your game let you make soup? That's a check. There were two soup games on in the Wholesome Direct, and we'll cover both of them. Like there's it's just
It's
like I'm looking down this list and I'm like, oh yeah, Bear and Breakfast. That's hey, we gotta rebuild this campground area. It's like it's just Stardew Valley again. It's just
the
Stardew
the
Valley
one-
except you're a bear this time.
the one thing I've been noticing too with a lot of the genre here with like the wholesome genre is that I would say like as far as gaming goes, what I'm observing and what do I know? Like I'm amateur at best here, but I think the games that are coming out and under that umbrella of wholesome happen to be also simultaneously some of the most inclusive games. Also, like I think like even in Night in the Woods, the representation that you had there for underrepresented like minority or any sort of thing there, even though it was an animal based game, like they're bringing a lot of that into it. I think some of the LGBTQ games that you're seeing come from this area also are really important. What's cool
And
about
I'm with
this,
all that.
we're all with it.
I'm
We're
with
all with
all
it.
that. I think
Too
my
much soup,
problem, my
though.
only real problem, but yeah, too much soup.
Too much soup.
My problem is really a genre thing. It's like
Yeah,
yes, if the point of the Wholesome Direct is to say we can make video games that aren't about killing things,
yeah,
aren't about shooting shit, aren't
yeah.
about blood and gore and violence, I'm all for it. The problem is I feel like I'm seeing the same three games in different combinations.
It's
And
your McDonald's analogy. Like we have McDonald's, we have McDonald's, we got McDonald's at home.
yes, yes, and that's tough for me. Even though I 100% applaud all the different voices that are coming together,
Absolutely, absolutely.
but all these voices are just kind of saying the same things,
Yep,
which
for sure.
is a bit of a bummer to me. And I'd like to see more variation because I do believe there are many other types of games that you can make that aren't about killing shit.
Yeah,
But those games are also don't have to be about crafting, fishing, photo
right,
taking, or cooking. Like those are the four. Those are your four. That's your Mount Rushmore of wholesome games.
right. No, I'm with you. I think that there's even aspects like I look at Kentucky Route Zero and like there's some aspects I encountered that I thought were pretty damn wholesome in that game. And
Sure.
again, like you can push the boundary and still be wholesome. So some interesting stuff there. Do you know like so we're replaying their actual YouTube video right now. The crew that they had out there working, like is this like their thing? Like the people that were hosting it, are they the ones who put this together or who does this one?
I am not as familiar. Like, this is my first time watching the Wholesome Direct. I didn't watch it when it happened last year.
Yeah.
So I'm a little unfamiliar with it. I think they did a relatively good job at stacking a bunch of games together and kind of talking about them a little bit. The three hosts seem to be. I mean, they were all nice enough people,
Yeah.
for sure. But there were a couple times where they just come back from a like I couldn't tell if this thing was live. Like it wasn't.
I don't think it was.
It had to be pre-recorded.
Yeah.
But they came back to the three and made it feel live for a bit. Where they're like, "Oh, that game makes me happy about this thing that I was doing," and then they just immediately cut it off and have no more conversation.
I think that they were watching the stream that we're watching, but they were just talking over it, and they were just cutting the video up and then putting.
And they just trimmed in a few of those things.
All right, we got to stop for a second with that banter because Ooblets is on the screen right now.
Yes,
and we got to fucking talk about Ooblets.
Ooblets port forward update. This also. It also just feels like Steven Universe.
It's one of those games.
It's like we made the boardwalk. Like now you can go and play arcade games and play around with your Ooblets and go deliver pizzas or whatever.
Yeah, man.
It kind of just looks like the Moonglow Bay version of Ooblets.
Dude, it's a like
just fine.
I think this is the 0.8 update.
Yes.
And
it's out now.
Yes, they do.
Bobby, how are you even talking to me right now? You should be playing Ooblets.
Chase, I played so much Ooblets to the point where I was like, all right, if you play it right now in its current form, like you're just gonna not have anything to do when they actually add the game into it. So there's been 2 more villages or towns or whatever added since I've played the game, and I have not. I've turned it on just to check on things and see how my farm's doing. I wanted to see a dance, but I have not played it because I'm like, you know what? Like, you just need to take this game on. And I do think it's supposed to hit consoles, like multiple consoles when 1.0 comes. This
like Xbox guaranteed because
it's there now.
It does have some Xbox co-marketing stuff for it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're on the game preview, so you can actually play it there right now. I think it's a couple. They have
like somebody specifically asked about Switch, and they commented something like, "Yeah, we'll be talking about other consoles when the game comes out in 1.0." And it's like, okay, so wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
And you're talking about not playing any more of this to not get spoiled. I am like to the end. Like I'm taking your thing to the extreme, where it's like I'm just not going to even touch this until it comes out because I know I'll like this.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with Temtem. Like I can wait on Temtem until it's actually out, and then I'll play it.
I will shout out the developers working on Ooblets. They survived the pandemic as a small studio. They also had a child. Like they had a kid mid development cycle on this, and they were like, okay, hey, because they've also been super transparent on the roadmap for it. They're like, listen, we're adjusting our roadmap. Baby's coming. We're gonna put a bunch of stuff out now, so we get out of the way. We love you all, but we're gonna disappear for a bit. And to stay with the wholesome trend, they've been doing a really good job with that. So. That I can't say enough good things about Ooblets. I cannot wait to show you Ooblets or have you show me Ooblets. I'm very excited for that game.
Let me run through a few things that I don't think we need to really talk too much about, but we can just kind of mention before we talk about another big one.
Yeah.
Skatebird got a bit of a I wouldn't say even a trailer. It was kind of like a developer feature where the developer was out there talking about, hey, like skateboarding games are really complicated.
Yeah.
And so is mine. Like and Bobby, you can speak directly to this.
Yes, I can.
There are some complex controls in there. But the whole point of this little feature was that there's like, hey, I'm also adding some simplified controls. There's going to be some ways to make grinds easier, ways to make some movement easier. So that stuff's cool. I'm still really excited about Skatebird. We talked about Garden Story. Tasomaki, I think it would be Maki. That's the game. That was another one that was part of that Steam preview thing. That's kind of like this empty looking world, and you have this anime looking girl going on an airship, and you have to kind of navigate this place to find some parts to make her airship work again. I didn't know that was actually made by a background artist on Final Fantasy 14, and
Oh,
they
crazy.
went on to go make this, and that kind of makes sense because the environment design looks really really good in that. That game's out now on Steam, but now it's going to come to Switch PC or Switch PS4 and Xbox One in 2021. So that's
We
exciting to me.
we tried to do a quick look of it, but they did not have they did not localize it for English, and so
Yeah,
it just didn't work out for us for that demo they had. But it looks like it's got some style for sure.
it's a pretty looking game. Floppy Nights, another game that we looked at
Yeah,
during that Steam thing. That is coming out this year on Steam. I didn't see it for any other platforms, unfortunately, but that was another turn-based strategy game that we kind of had a little fun with.
there's a quick look for it. You can check that out.
There's a quick look. You can see it now. Let's talk about Lake.
Yes,
You and
please.
I both thought this game looked good. You start as this woman who is, climbing the corporate ladder. Like
1980s corporate ladder.
That's right. That's right. And then, for whatever reason, I'm sure the game will get into it more, but you decide to go back to your hometown and become a mail carrier.
Yep.
And it's kind of a narrative-driven game from there. You'll meet the people back in town. Some of them you remember. Some of them are brand new to the place. You meet some people. They hinted at some romantic options in there, but also you're just talking to people and helping them with their problems, or maybe just delivering their mail to them. And that sounds really nice.
It looks so good. The style is awesome. I don't know where they said you were going, like some sort of like upper state area, it looks like. But
yeah, it looks like Pacific Northwest kind of.
Having the ability to just go around this countryside and have these relationships you're working through, I think that game looks awesome. September 1st, I think it said. Let me see really quick where it's going to be.
Epic Game Store, and Xbox.
Okay.
Bobby, have you? I certainly wouldn't want to do it now with the rise of Amazon and all this package stuff and ordering.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a time where I thought delivering mail would be pretty good. That'd be, I could listen to music or something in the car, drive around all day, kind of be by myself. You deliver mail to people. Like,
yeah.
You're delivering news. It's good stuff. Like that
right.
seems like a nice job. Like, not anymore. It doesn't seem like
my cousin was a rural mail carrier or mail deliverer, and then my roommate for years, when we were living together, worked for the actual postal service delivering mail. And I remember thinking there was something a little bit more romantic about delivering the mail, like you're talking about. And then he would come home after like a sweltering day and just hate life, or like a particularly snowy day, and have to like have like a special boot dryer. I'm just like, man. But he did say a lot of podcasts, a lot of music. He said that you also like find out what fast food restaurants have the best bathrooms, because you have to go somewhere. So carrying the mail.
I remember my mail carrier who would come in my smaller town, and they had I think they had purchased their own truck. I don't think, well, maybe the post office had bought the truck, but it was a special truck that had the wheel on the right side, because you needed to be able to drive up to the mailboxes and put it in there. I was thinking, man, look at that cool car.
Yep.
And like, it's probably just something. It's like, yeah, just send us the German one, but don't throw the Americanized wheel on the left thing, because somebody just bought like a stock German car or a stock Japanese car. Man.
Yep.
Cool. Not anymore, though.
Not anymore.
Pretty lame now. Let's go through.
What's the one you want to see next here?
Oh, my notes aren't very good. Yokai Inn, I thought looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I just missed that one. Let me pull it back up here. This one did have a nice style to it.
It's another pixel art game. This is an isometric view. The Twitter account for it says, making a game about running an inn for spirits. and it
Okay.
seems to be taking a lot of cues from Japanese culture. There are some kind of temple stuff. They're making offerings. You're seeing tatami mats and that kind of stuff. I just think it looks really nice.
Yeah.
It's got a cool look. It also just looks like one of those. It looks like a Stardew Valley,
Yep.
but isometric and Japanese, which I'm into.
Yeah. I bet you it's got an
Just
awesome sound to it.
I totally believe that. Let's see here. I've got one here. Is it called Shishingo? Is that what I wrote?
Let me see where it would be on here. I'm trying to go through their timestamps on their YouTube page really quick.
Yeah, I'm going through their website that has just a bunch of.
I'm not seeing it. It's probably right in front of me here. I'm under pressure trying to find this.
Same pressure right here.
I don't know. I'll pull up letters. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, letters seem kind of interesting. They talked about how it was, words, but then here it is, Shishingo. Oh yeah, I remember Shishingo. The letters seemed all right. Letters was about like a notebook that's there, or like you're a pen pal. I think is something they mentioned. But the words actually show up as visuals on side of the screen, and so you can kind of
Neat.
like there was one thing where it says cats, and there was just one cat, and you added an S to it, and a second cat like dropped down, and it's like, oh, it's two cat friends, and then you could write the word cats again, and it dropped a third cat down, and now it's three cats, and you could just keep dropping cats down.
Wow.
But you could kind of change the visuals based on the words that you were tossing in.
Okay.
Uh, Shishingo, Shashingo, was it's on the Mount Rushmore. It's a photography one. It's a Pokemon Snap one.
Okay.
Here, is there a good way for me to send this to you?
It was on Wholesome, right? Do you know where it was at and the deal?
I don't have that information. Can you pull up our schedule Dropbox paper document?
Yep. Yep.
And I'll just drop a link in there
Yeah.
to Shishingo there at the bottom of the page, and you can grab that.
Thank you much.
So Shishingo, it looks like you're kind of. It actually reminds me a lot of Toem too, in the way it works there. You're
Yeah.
going through this this is a 3D world, but you're walking around and you're looking for specific photos. But it says explore a bright fictional Japanese city filled with details and interesting objects to capture with your camera. Each photograph you take will translate the name of the content into Japanese and English, so you can learn with your surroundings. So I wouldn't say this is the way you learn Japanese. As a person who's taken a Japanese class, two Japanese classes in college,
Right.
and also did not learn Japanese very well the traditional way. But there is certainly a vocabulary here that you can get. Like in the trailer, they take a picture of a convenience store, and it gets translated to konbini, which is what they call their convenience stores in Japan. I think that's really cool. I think it's just got a really good look to it, and that's pretty neat.
Nice.
Anyway, Shishingo. Thought that looked really nice. There's another game called Book of Travels.
Book of Travels. This
Yeah, let me
button.
try to find Book of Travels here somewhere. I don't remember what it was about exactly, but if I wrote
And
it
this
down,
isn't
it's
the
because I
Wholesome, right?
this is Wholesome. Yes.
Okay.
Well, while we're looking for that, I can tell you a little bit about Lego Builder's Journey, which is something I pulled up for. I was just looking up games that are coming soon to the Switch on the eShop, and I saw that. Here's Book of Travels. Oh, it's like the really painterly one. But that Lego thing looks really cool. You kind of. Is there a video here I can pull
That's the
up?
one that they
Yeah.
like built it out, right? And then they put clay and shit over it. Is that what I'm thinking of?
Book of Travels?
Yeah.
Uh, Here. I'll dump it into that same thing with under Shishingo.
Okay.
It's kind of at the bottom of that page. Um, well, kind of in the middle of it.
Okay.
There's an announced trailer kind of there in the middle. It's just got a really incredible look to it. It looks really painterly with just like a bunch of layers on it. I don't know if that's necessarily the clay stuff that you're talking about.
No, I'm
Maybe.
thinking something different.
Okay. But I don't even really know much about what this is. I just think it looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
Become part of a fairy tale game world. Here's the Steam thing. Ready your pack, grab your walking stick, and step into a world of mystery and legend. Craft a unique character and immerse yourself in the enchanted lands of the Braided Shore. Set your own goals and adventure alone or together with travelers you meet on the road in this serene TMORPG. What do you think a TMORPG is, Bobby?
Let me consult with somebody really quick.
Oh, here it is. It's a tiny multiplayer online role-playing game.
I should have known.
So not massive.
Not massive. Tiny.
Whatever the hell that means.
I'll take a slice of a tiny one there.
But I think that it's just got a really nice art style too.
Yeah, it looks...
that Lego game... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Potato here in the chat was saying it looks very cute. I agree. It's got such we keep talking about this, but the games that we're looking at tonight have some really awesome visuals working for them. And again, like, it wouldn't be a Wholesome Direct if they didn't bring and dial up the cuteness on it here. But the Book of Travels looks really good, for sure.
To finish the thought on that Lego Builder's Journey that I thought looked really cool, it kind of reminds me of like a Hitman Go or a Lara Croft Go, where it's of these little dioramas, and you have to use the Lego pieces to, like, very minimal Lego pieces to get your small Lego guy from the beginning of the levels to the end. It's definitely a puzzle game, but it is Lego, not inspired. It is Lego branded, and so there are actual Lego pieces. It's got a really nice look to it. Where Lego is usually very like super kid friendly, this looks a little bit more adult, a little bit more mature in a way that I think looks pretty good.
I got Bear and Breakfast pulled up right now. This was shown off on a Nintendo Direct. I think this game looks really good.
It looks like Stardew Valley.
I know.
Straight up into, like, we need to rebuild this community center to save the town. Except now we need to save the camp, the lodge to save the campground. But I mean, it looks good. That's the problem with all of these, is they all look good. They just all look like the same game in a way. And that's the kind of disappointing part. Let's do one more from the Wholesome Direct. Let's finish on the one they finished on. That was Loddle Knot. Loddle. LODDLE.
There it is.
NAUT. Yeah. So this game, Bobby, I thought you might be interested in this one because it looks like Subnautica.
I know.
You are under the ocean. You are, but it looks like it's more about cleaning up the ocean, and that seemed like a neat kind of mechanic. It's got a good look to it. It's on Kickstarter right now. That was something, you don't see that on like a Ubisoft thing. I guess you did see it on Sony when they were like, hey, by the way, you could make Shenmue happen.
Yeah.
But that is one of the things in the Wholesome Direct that did take me aback a little bit. Of, you guys are presenting games that are Kickstarted games. Like, we don't know that these games are necessarily coming out.
Right.
Like Loddle Knot, despite being the last game they showed, so you think it's like it was their one more thing.
Yep.
And you'd think like, okay, well, this is the biggest thing you got, and it's got a $35,000 goal, and right now, as of this very second, it's at 14,707. So it's certainly not a guarantee this game is going to come out, but so it's just very odd to me that would be like their one more big let's throw something out there. But I do think it looks cool, and you get these Loddles, which I believe that's a play off of Axolotl, with their kind of like swimming around, that kind of are like little friends that help you out. I thought that game looked really nice.
Yes, it's got a good look to it for sure. I like it a whole lot.
I hope it makes it with the Kickstarter, but I still think it's very weird to end your show with a game like, yeah, by the way, please fund this game.
Right. Help us,
Like,
please.
Interesting.
Uh, well, what's next?
We've got a couple other things here to talk about. Why don't we move to a big thing and let's talk about Ubisoft Forward. And before we talk about Ubisoft Forward, or like as we talk about Ubisoft Forward, the bummer with this show, I think it would have been a relatively decent show, but the one super exciting new announcement out of this got leaked. And what's the real bummer is that it's from the same franchise where the first game also got leaked.
Yeah.
And that's it's just man. But Bobby wanted this. He like halfway called it. He's like, I want another Mario and Rabbids game.
I know.
And look at you.
Let me fast forward to where they're showing the game off here.
Sure. It's near the end. It's like the second to last thing they showed. It looks good. It looks good. You are definitely the bigger fan of that game than I am.
I love this game.
I like it. It's turn-based strategy, so of course I like it. But yeah, you love this.
I think it's a game that is so easy to dismiss. And I know that rabbits are kind of like minions, like I get that, but this game was done so well. And I think what really kicked it off for me, you want to talk about wholesome, go back to that E3 when the man that designed this game was watching his hero on stage say his name, and like the partnership that happened. Actually, I think it's him right there in the middle. I don't know his name right now, but he had that moment there on stage. That game's really good. When they announced the sequel, I've been like kind of wishing for the sequel and like half joking about it. But I had so much fun playing through Mario and Rabbids. That game, and I've said this multiple times, it's so much better than it has any right to be. Like that game is so great, and you can find it. I think right now as we're recording this, $14 to get all of it, like the complete one. And there's so much there. There's so much there to check out. It's really good.
I think I was really, really loving that game until it got to the point where it gave you extremely hard counters for the stuff you did. Like I used Luigi a lot because Luigi had the sniper style gun, and then I had leveled up Luigi so much, and then the game's like, oh, by the way, these units just aren't affected by, or these units like go down in the ground and they won't even come up unless something's close to them. And like, so your sniper units are useless. And I found that to be kind of annoying. I didn't really enjoy some of the changes they made. Those kind of abrupt, hey, your strategy doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
But I think that's a small quibble because I still had a very good time with that game.
I've got a couple of questions about it. Like, are we going to see Cappy introduced? Are we going to see Guigi introduced into it?
So let me tell you a couple things. Did you actually watch the trailer for this?
No.
Have you seen?
Let me see if I can pull that up really quick while you're chatting.
Yeah. So it seems to be. I don't want to say it's set in the Mario Galaxy universe specifically, but it's definitely taking cues from Mario Galaxy. You are in a spaceship now. There is a rabid Rosalina.
Okay.
And the game is called Sparks of Hope, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. And Sparks are basically the Rabbid Lumas. So if you remember the Lumas, the stars from Mario Galaxy, that's what these are, except they're Rabbid.
The Rabbid version? Okay.
So that's kind of what's going on here, and it sounds like you're going from planet to planet, which I imagine is their way of going like, oh, here's the ice planet, here's the fire planet, here's the beach planet, whatever.
Yeah.
And I could see that working as a concept for sure. But that's kind of where they're going with this. So I don't think you're going to see Cappy. I don't think you're going to see Guigi, but I do think you might see more like Mario Galaxy style stuff. It would not surprise me to see a bee suit somewhere in here. It would not surprise me to see Captain Toad show up in some form or fashion.
Do you think that this was impacted on like missing the target for some of the Mario celebrations Nintendo was having last year? I mean, it's still
maybe, but I also think that Nintendo doesn't necessarily give a shit what Ubisoft does. Like they give a shit enough to make the partnership, but I feel like when they do like some Year of Mario thing, they're worried more about what they're doing with Mario, and if somebody else makes it with Mario, that's kind of out of their hands, so they probably aren't planning for it. Maybe I could totally
dual blasters this time.
Yeah, he's dual wielding. The internet
Yeah.
had a lot of fun with that. Showing around. It seems interesting, and it looks like these sparks will be a mechanic in the game that
Oh,
will give
cool.
you extra powers. Like if maybe you can set or assign those sparks to different characters to make them move further or something. The other big change I saw in the bit of gameplay that they showed, it was mainly just a cinematic trailer, but in the bit of gameplay they showed, it looks like it's a much more freeform movement style system. Like the first game was very tile based. Like
Yeah.
you could move this many squares up, you could move whatever, you could move this number of squares further to do like a dash, and you'd lose your shooting ability at that point. This game deals with everything on circles.
Hmm.
That Mario has a radius that he can go. That's his maximum radius. But then here's the circle, so you can move anywhere in that radius as you're trying to move.
Let me ask you this.
Okay, go for it.
Do you think, make me happy,
Mhm.
Bobby Babam, does he show up in this? Is he a character that you can have?
I doubt it because that's Paper Mario.
Damn
But
it.
there are bob-ombs. Bob-ombs, and that is maybe the other thing. Bob-ombs are the only Mario-looking thing I saw from an enemy perspective.
Okay.
And I know I do remember from Nintendo when we were talking about we what was it? Was it a Paper Mario game where they talked about why they couldn't do fun stuff with the enemies? They had to make like
Yes.
brand new kinds of
There's a whole thing
enemies.
that came out around like there's a book basically, and I think this is part of that leak that happened with Nintendo where Paper Mario has always created new enemies because it's not technically like mainline Mario. And I'm probably butchering this, but if my memory serves right, it's that they had to create brand new original villains and they couldn't replicate or redo any of the known ones there. And I think that's one of the other reasons why you have the Rabbids here for Ubisoft, where it's like, hey, it's technically Luigi or it's technically Donkey Kong, or hey, this villain is definitely, under the influence of these things, and it worked out really well for him in that sense. But yeah, you're right. There's
Yeah.
some stipulations Nintendo has.
So and that was Nintendo. That was Nintendo themselves.
I know. I
That's
know.
Intelligent Systems who makes the Paper Mario games. So, but like they're a second party studio. They are dealing with Nintendo like almost exclusively. So it's very weird for them to be under those restrictions, which I believe more in a case with like Ubisoft, where they're going to go, well, no, you can't make something with Shy Guys. Like we gave you Mario, you get Mario. That's all you get.
Right.
So I see bob-ombs here, but other than that, everything else looks like more of like a Rabbids
Yeah.
style
Yeah.
character or a Rabbids inspired thing.
Yep.
They also mentioned in the trailer, or mentioned somewhere, it's like all your favorite Mario characters and all your favorite Rabbids characters. And like, well, one, not all my favorite Mario characters are in here. That's for
No.
damn sure. And two, not even my favorite Rabbids character, which is Rayman, which everybody seems to have forgotten that the
He'll show
Rabbids
up.
came from a Rayman game to begin with.
So.
I would love to see Rayman. Imagine Rayman and Mario teaming up
know.
to fight shit. That'd be cool.
So
That'd be cool
Ubisoft
as hell.
kicked off early before their event with this news. Let me pull up their stream here again. So we're back now to the Ubisoft Forward. And you watched this, right? You went through all of it?
I did. I did
Okay.
watch this. Yes. So we're not going to do this in. We can do it a little bit in order. I didn't. I guess I did write down more or less everything. They started with Rainbow Six Extraction, which is coming out September 16th. This is a 1 to 3 player co-op shooter game that is based on. It's using the same engine. It's using the same a lot of the same ideas that Rainbow Six Siege uses.
Yeah.
Which is their like more multiplayer focused game. So this deals with a lot of that, except it's kind of Left 4 Dead.
I saw a tweet saying that it was basically Alien, almost like it was like.
Yes, I mean they look like zombies to me, but they are called aliens, and I guess that gives them a little bit more leeway on what they do. But they're pretty dumbass aliens. Like they feel like. They look like aliens, but they feel like zombies. If you kind of get what I'm going. But yeah, you're this kind of elite Rainbow Six squad, and you're going on these 1 to 3 player missions, and they seem kind of cool. Like the way you can pick your different characters, and they have different things that they do. It feels a little like The Division in a way, another fine Ubisoft property. Um, and one of the interesting things I saw here is that your characters are persistent. And not only are they persistent in a good way, like you get new gear, you apply your new gear to your unit, you level them up, whatever. They're persistent in that if you, I imagine if you die, you get captured. The game says you get captured, and that character is now gone, and you have to then do another mission to get that character back. So there is that persistence in the way that these characters are like a living thing that can go back and forth from your game's possession, and I thought that seemed kind of cool.
Nice.
We've got the casual hour has 3 people, you, me, and Johnny.
I would be down for sure.
I could see myself being kind of interested in giving this a shot. I don't know if I'm going to love it. They did say it also has crossplay confirmed, so that's cool too.
I would be down for that. We could all play then.
Yeah. The next thing they showed is Rocksmith Plus, which I thought was a pretty cool thing, despite not being something I necessarily need in my life. Bobby, do you remember the original Rocksmith?
I do. I'm trying to find the video right now. I had one, but it was not the right one here.
Here, I can.
I got it here. I got it, I think.
Okay. But for future reference, I've got this Rock Paper Shotgun article that has trailers from everything.
Okay.
So that might be faster to run through and find those than
pull that up there. Okay, let me do that here.
Yeah. Rocksmith's kind of near the beginning.
Yep, I got it here. Thank you.
So Rocksmith Plus is a subscription service. Rocksmith, the original game, was kind of like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, except more hardcore and more about learning the guitar. Like you could plug in a real guitar, play it in a real way, and there'd be some note highway stuff, and it would tell you a little bit. It would have some tablature stuff. It would have some different ways of learning guitar, but also kind of a game. And this is going way further.
Yeah.
But also similar in the way that the last Guitar Hero game was. The Guitar Hero that you could like have on your phone.
Yep.
That's kind of what this is. This is a subscription service. It's an interactive subscription thing where it sounds like you can. It's weird. It's got songs on there that you can play, and
Right.
It seems like they'll be updating the songs going forward and adding more. And they are breaking these songs. These are the master tracks, so they're breaking them down.
That's nuts.
And you can go in, you can slow the song down. It's got the note highways. You can actually change some of the ways the note highways work. But this really seems less like a game and more like real.
That's
actual
what I always thought Rocksmith was. I thought it was more about just like, this is the way for you to learn. Like, we're going to video game your learning. And
yeah,
this came out and it felt like, oh wow, this is like if Guitar Hero's an arcade, like this is the Sim. And it's really impressive that they're doing it for sure.
And that was the first one, and I think that's what they were doing. But this is taking it to a whole new level.
Yeah, this is wild.
Apparently, they're doing better with the tracking. It allows acoustic and electric guitars, and also bass guitars. It seems really, really cool. I don't remember if they mentioned the price for the subscription service. I don't think they did, but I don't necessarily need to learn guitar, but there's part of me watching this that is like, this seems like a thing I could do. And like the way this service game, whatever works.
Yeah.
Like it's smart enough to be able to say, hey, your accuracy on this song was, 68% or whatever, but we could tell the parts that you messed up on were these parts specifically. So our recommendation to you is a song or a new challenge that specifically focuses on those parts to get you better. Like it is not just saying you got this many wrong, try again.
Right.
It is really trying to teach you guitar, and I think that's a very noble thing. It's a cool idea for sure. I wonder how many people actually sign up for a subscription service like this.
We'll see for
and
sure.
if it makes enough money to keep going, especially to bring in new licensed songs and get master tracks and things like that. Because that
Absolutely.
stuff's expensive. We saw that, eventually it was too much to bear for even the giants like Guitar Hero and Rock Band. So I wonder how something like Rocksmith, which is definitely a more niche product, can keep up with something like that.
Chase, before we hop over to the next one, let's take a quick bio break and give me like a minute. We'll be right back. Work for you?
See you in a minute.
All right. We will be right back after this. Chase, you are
good?
A very, very, very smart individual when it comes to handheld video gaming. Yeah, all good. I just got to pee.
You got to put the caveat in there.
Well, I mean, I could have filled in like whatever I wanted to there, but you do a nice job.
Is to throat punch this guy
In front of us?
Yeah. Then to jump kick the guy behind you with the gun.
Okay.
And then snap strike him. And quick kick him. We can do all these things. Yeah, like jump kick the guy behind you. We might be able to end him.
So he's down to 18. 4. Let me do this one first, as that's going to give me some extra damage. It's 14. Quick kick. He's down to 1. Damn.
It's alright.
Oh my god!
See ya!
Yes! Yes, you love it.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Some pro gamer moves, and there it is.
Sometimes the RNG gods smile upon us. Sometimes they don't.
I should break this one down because I can just pull it back out again, right, Chase? Chase? Don Pappas? Oh no. We have lost Chase. Is he on the fire team still?
Yeah, he's here.
So, Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Top-notch acting. Over the top at times. A lot of acting. A lot of action. Final Fantasy The Spirits Within.
These are all false things.
What if? Because I just saw the trailer for this today. Saw FF9. And we just had... He's mentioned that this was right after Final Fantasy 9. What if the next thing that we see in 2021 is Fast Furious, The Spirits Within?
No.
The crossover we deserve. All right. Hey, thanks everybody. And thank you, Chase.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We are...
We're in Ubisoft. We're in the Ubisoft Forward right now. We kind of just started. We mentioned the first couple games that they showed. And if
We're
you want to jump right back in, the next one is Riders Republic, which I thought was maybe one of the best things they showed for Ubisoft. Like it seems on one hand that it is what did I write down here? I wrote snowboarding, bikes, and wingsuits. That's kind of what this is. It's like an extreme sports. And actually, you know what? It feels like Forza Horizon, except without the cars.
What was their dirt bike game they had? Trials or Trails?
Yeah, Trials. Mm-hmm.
It seems like it might be in that universe.
It's in that vein for sure. Like these are 3D.
Yeah.
Unlike Trials, but it's still very much in that tone style. Very and also it's like they threw some Steep in there. Hey, remember Steep, our snowboarding game from Ubisoft?
Yep.
Well, kind of fuck Steep, but this has Steep elements to it. Like there's snowboarding here that you can do. It's a little more fun, tricky kind of stuff. There's regular wingsuits, but there's also jet engine wingsuits.
Oh shit. Okay.
There's some bicycle stuff that's like you're going down tough bicycle trail things. There's
The
a
snowboarding
lot of
stuff looks really
flipping and
cool.
going around. It's a nice looking package.
Yeah,
I wonder how well this stuff plays,
sure.
but it's got that Forza Horizon feel to it of, hey, we're all just coming together and having fun and saying fuck it, and
It's a
I
big
don't know,
ass
there's something
map.
kind of cool
Let me
about
go
it.
back to that really quick. You see how big that map is?
It's a it's a lot of stuff in there.
That's a hefty map for sure.
It's got some nice looking graphics to it.
Totally. I'm excited. After I built the PC, I made the decision with Ubisoft especially that because I was going to when I got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I was like, you know what, like I'd probably want to get some of the DLC that comes with it, and I was looking at the different offerings, and I was like, well, shit, I can get Ubisoft Plus now, and if I did my math right, you know, like I can equate like this many months of service to the cost of one game, and that's what I've been doing because I knew that Far Cry would be coming out sometime this year. And now some of these other games that are popping up, like I'll absolutely download this game and check it out with that service. Like I'd be a fool not to.
They did announce that Ubisoft Plus, if you were just signing up, the first month is 60% off.
Oh, cool.
Which, you know, kind of cool. 60% is a weird figure to me. Like, why not just say 50? Like,
Yeah.
well, who's not going to say yes to 50? Who is going to say yes to 60? That's a weird
lot of the
business
games that I have on there too
opinion.
do show up on the GeForce Now stuff, which is cool. And if you do subscribe to Luna, your Ubisoft Plus can be played there. So if you don't have a PC and you're capable of playing like Luna somewhere, you could check out these games for, I think, well, to Chase's point, 60% off of 15. That'd be your first month.
So I thought that looked pretty cool. That's coming out September 2nd. Then I think before they did Just Dance, they showed off a bunch of stuff. Like here's all of our updates. Yeah, they said like here's all the updates to our live games.
Yeah.
And it was, hey, there's a new operator for Rainbow Six Siege. There's new DLC for Watch Dogs Legion, the Bloodlines DLC, which
Whoops.
you know, we talked about Tiny Tina winning our tournament for worst video game characters. Another number one seed, it felt like, was original Watch Dogs protagonist Aiden Pierce. Good news, Aiden Pierce is going to be a character you can play as in the new Watch Dogs Legion Bloodlines DLC. Get it now.
Yeah, let me pull that up really quick. So this was, I know that there's been some frustrations because this is coming out in July. That game came out. Watch Dogs was something you could get with the RTX 3090s or 3080s, 3090s when that came out. So it was November. So people are like, hey, what the hell? Like, where's the DLC for it? Because Aiden was announced. What was the dude's name from Watch Dogs 2? Can't remember his name. Wrench. And then this futuristic assassin. But Aiden's here. That's interesting to see. And
they only showed Aiden and Wrench here. They didn't show this other
I
person
know.
that you're talking about.
Very interesting. Very interesting. For
sure. Let's see. And then they also talked about Assassin's Creed Valhalla expansions. That stuff looked fine. I don't know enough about it was the what was it? The Battle of Paris, the Siege of Paris, something like that.
Yeah, the Siege of Paris, I believe is what it is.
The Fall of Paris. That was
Fall.
It wasn't. They wouldn't have done Siege because they've got Rainbow Six.
Well, that's where Rainbow Six Siege of Paris.
Yeah, there you go. Fall of Paris. That was it. So it's like early France, ancient France, and looks like more siege and castle shit. Which I don't know. That seems cool. Did you play that first Assassin's Creed DLC, the Druids one?
I did not. I have not played it. No, I haven't, and I really, really want to check that one out. Like I have wanderlust. I love to travel. I have not traveled outside of America that often, but my wife and we went to Ireland for our honeymoon. And so, not that like I'm going to get the same experience, but there's a very I have a big fondness for Ireland and the time spent there. And I want to check that DLC out quite a bit.
Sure. Another thing they showed for Assassin's Creed, they're bringing in the discovery mode that they've had in some previous Assassin's Creed games, and they're like giving the full discovery treatment to Valhalla. So they say like, oh, if you're a student, you can brush up on your knowledge by looking at all this stuff, or if you're just like an Assassin's Creed history buff, you can go in and they've got like a bunch of historical documentation and notes about these different places. Apparently, like it's even kind of like a different game mode where you can play as more of just like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like you aren't necessarily like bloodthirsty Viking Ivor person. You're just like a dude who's making boats.
What's crazy is that I think that to beat the mainline campaign, you're at 100 hours. When that's not with everything. Like that's not the completionist hour count. I'm pretty sure that the Ireland DLC is around 20 to 30 hours of gameplay. And I think that like you're adding probably another 20. I mean, you're starting to get up to like maybe 200 hours here or damn near, which look, like if they can continue to make it interesting, go for it. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Bobby, I was wrong that I was right. It is the Siege of Paris. Why would they do that?
The Rainbow Six Siege of Paris from Ubisoft plus Forward.
If only. Well, now we're getting into Devolver territory.
I know. I had
we'll
to
get
do
there.
it. I had to plant the seed.
So they showed off Just Dance 2022, which looks like more Just Dance, but I did not see a Wii logo. I think they're done with the Wii.
The Wii's
They're
done.
officially done with the Wii. So we might not get any more Wii games anymore. But yeah, Just Dance 2022, that's coming. We got a Far Cry 6 cinematic showing more Giancarlo Esposito doing good stuff, doing good work. That looked nice. And then it got weird. There's a season pass for Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
And it includes. Here's from the Rock Paper Shotgun article. Includes at least 3 bits of DLC. You get to play as Far Cry's Ghosts of Dickhead Pass, previous baddies Vas Montenegro, Pagan Min, and Joseph Seed. Those are the antagonists from Far Cry's 3, 4, and 5, respectively, running around their own minds. Welcome to my dark, twisted nightmare. And you also get the Blood Dragon spinoff for free as well. That was odd to me. I yelped. When we just saw the Tronny 80s looking background shit. And I go, oh my god, there's going to be a new Blood Dragon. And I'm like, no, there's not going to be a new Blood Dragon. You can just play Blood Dragon.
So I am genuinely excited for where they're taking Far Cry this time. I like where the game's at. I don't know why they're doing this villain shit. Like that just I remember so they did something similar with Far Cry. It was for New Dawn. It was either between 5 and New Dawn. They had their DLC for that was really interesting. Like they had one that was a flashback to Vietnam that was almost like a stealth survival. Like you literally are landed, you don't have any equipment, you have to work your way to these bases in Vietnam. There was 2 other ones that were a bit more. There was one that was on space, which was crazy. Like
I don't remember that one.
It was wild, really weird shit. So it seems like they're dipping into maybe some of the oddities that they've done with this DLC in the past. The other thing that's weird here is they did something similar, as you just mentioned, with Watch Dogs. Like they've got 2 characters from prior games that they're bringing into it for you to play as their DLC, and on one hand it's a little lazy, I think, but on the other hand, if there's a story to tell, like that's pretty interesting for sure.
And on the other hand, I'm over here going, put Rayman in Mario plus Rabbids.
You cowards! Give us Rayman, you cowards!
So I can't be too mad that they're recycling some shit. I do think it's fun that 2 of the Far Cry bad guys are Breaking Bad characters.
That's true.
Like just put those 2 together. All I want are Voss and what's his name? Anton.
Why wouldn't they? Nah, never mind. Never mind.
Fair enough. I am more interested in Far Cry 6. I love 3. 3 I think is a fantastic game. 4 I found to be a little more of the same, but I didn't like the mountain environment. I found that to be a little.
4's my favorite.
I think 4 has a lot of incredible aspects, and I think the world just kind of stopped me from loving it where I think I should have. And then 5, there was all the
Oh man,
the mishandling of the
5
messaging
was
around
rough.
that. And that just turned me off completely. And then we had like weird oddities like Primal, which got real bad reviews. I remember nobody liked Primal. I do remember seeing Primal in that season pass trailer. So I think maybe that was just saying like, hey, it's on Ubisoft Plus. You can play Primal if you want to, but they didn't really call out Primal as a thing.
It had those
And then New
weird like
Dawn,
trips and stuff too.
I barely remember
New Dawn's
Dawn.
cool. New Dawn's cool.
Yeah, it was like really colorful. It was
Yep.
still kind of in 5's world. It was just a different thing.
Well, when Rage 2 was announced, Rage 2 looked almost identical on a color palette as to what New Dawn did. And New Dawn had really cool, like you were building a settlement. The weapons were, I mean, honestly, what they're doing in Far Cry 6 here was the same shit. Like you're crafting your own weapons up and making that a reality. But New Dawn, your ragtag, you're going and you're getting resources from taking over outposts, coming back and building your own resources at your base to go back and do it. I liked New Dawn. It started to get real weird. I had a great time playing that one. That was a lot of fun.
Well, I look forward to 6. Hey, thanks, Potato Line, for showing up. Sorry, we're just about to talk about the game you mentioned, but maybe it's for the best that you head out because
okay.
I don't really like Avatar.
Potato, take care. Always great to have you around.
They showed off Mario and Rabbids at this point, even though it had already been leaked. And then Yves Guillemot came on to say, "Hey, by the way, we've got one more thing. If you like our collaboration with Nintendo and Mario, you'll love our collaboration with James Cameron." And it was Avatar, which I feel like I knew this was happening. Was this something that's been in the works? Was this, or maybe it was leaked before? I can't remember. But yeah, we are getting Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, which okay. In the Rock Paper Shotgun article, it says we knew they were working on an Avatar game, but now that it's been revealed, named, and given a release date of 2022, it's a first-person action adventure where you play as a Navi, and that's it. You know what? Potato Lion says one thing as he's heading out here. Like the visuals do look good, and I'll give him that. It's a very pretty looking trailer they showed us here.
Yeah, I think that we mentioned off pod earlier today. I was just like, I've seen Avatar. This is back, the 3D craze. I was pretty excited to go to a theater and experience something different. But I remember watching the movie and I was just like, this isn't as impactful as I think people are making it out to be. And
they called it unobtainium. Like, that's not ham-fisted. That's like the whole goddamn hog-fisted.
Yeah, I think that, here's what I'll say. I bet you Avatar would be a much better video game than it would be a movie.
Maybe.
Because if you think about it, they're just playing
getting movies?
Huh?
Isn't that the point? Like, we're still getting movies? Like,
they're
still
two
working
more
on these?
Like, they're
ridiculous.
Well, yeah. It is Alien Pocahontas. That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
It's. I bet you it will probably play very well if they use some of the Assassin's Creed stuff, especially. It looked like Snowdrop is going to be powering it, which it's a great engine. It looks gorgeous. So we'll see. Like I'm intrigued, but I would much rather play some other Ubisoft stuff than this.
Yeah, and I think that's the real bummer. Like this was the thing that they were banking on for their one more thing, similar to the Wholesome Direct. Like you ended the show with a whimper, in a way. Like, yes, this game looks incredibly pretty, but show us another trailer for Beyond Good and Evil. Like we know, like it's been forever. We want this. Show us a trailer for Skull and Bones. Tell us that it's not completely dead, because that game has to be completely dead, right? Like they didn't even mention it. Like we don't even know that these things are happening. It's I don't know. I wanted other things out of this.
Yeah.
and I didn't really get them. I think Riders Republic looks cool. I'll probably end up putting some time into that. Far Cry 6 might get me back into the Far Cry franchise, and Mario and Rabbids. I think they've got some cool ideas going on there. But a lot of the rest of the stuff just kind of missed me, and that's kind of disappointing, considering this is like the one big show that we've gotten so far. I mean, we had Summer Games Fest, which was some
Sure.
big stuff, but this is one of the big publishers. This feels like E3, and it just kind of didn't quite do it for me. Bobby, we got what?
I was to say, you see the chat?
Oh no.
So Who is Bork said, did you see the Ubisoft highlight accessibility? Wow, to see a deaf person talk about video games was good stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So I had to work today. I didn't get to watch the actual stream. So I missed that completely, but that is amazing to hear that's going on.
Yeah, I must have missed that. I was paying a decent amount of attention, but I know I missed out on some things. Like now, even we, I forgot to mention. Man, there's a lot of street racing going on down there. I got Forza Horizon's heading out right over here, if you know what I mean.
Oh no!
But it's like the 20th anniversary of Ghost Recon, and they were showing off some Ghost Recon stuff. They showed a couple other things as well when they were talking about live games and things like that. But so there's definitely some things I missed. That's cool. I mean, Ubisoft has been kind of on the forefront in terms of a lot of inclusivity from a big publisher, and that is cool to see them continuing that. It doesn't change the fact, unfortunately, that I just found a lot of these games to be either not up my alley or just like not the things that I feel like they should be talking about at this point.
Yeah, no,
Anyway.
I get that for sure. It's interesting to see that they're prolonging Assassin's Creed for yet another year, which I totally get, because I think that they had to move away from the yearly stuff. We got Mario and Rabbids. I'm excited about that.
But also, like, yes, they are not making a new Assassin's Creed, but we're getting new Assassin's Creed content for Valhalla. They are still doing stuff with that world, and I think they've made a really good world that they can build upon, and that makes it okay that they are taking a break from building something completely from scratch. I'm totally cool with that, but come on, guys, like. We know you have Beyond Good and Evil somewhere behind those doors.
Bring it out here, you cowards. Chase, what do you say we get even weirder?
Yes, let's finish this up with one more press conference. Well, press conference is a weird way to put it.
Do you have a link to that by chance?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It is the website, but the website has a YouTube link to it.
Okay.
Right there.
You just want to go down the list on that one?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the thing as a whole first, because this thing over the course of a few years now has become more interesting than most of the games that they announce for the Devolver press conferences or whatever they are. Even though, and that's saying something, because I think there are a lot of really cool games. Like Carrion was something that we saw in these things before. Like they show off cool games for sure. So this year they produce what they're calling Devolver Max Pass Plus, which is fake. Like,
it's good.
Let's put that out there first. It's fake. But it is. They are touting it as a free subscription service that allows you access to then buying their games.
It's insane.
Which is just buying their games.
Yeah.
They had a pretty funny bit where they're like, "Well, the games aren't free. Obviously, that'd be ridiculous. Who would do that?
Premium content or whatever."
But it was their way of doing their Netflixy Peacock Plus or Peacock Paramount Plus, whatever, all their bullshit that's going around right now, and them just saying like, "Yeah, you still have to buy our games." Like, what are you talking about? This is But the way they wrapped it up, like this show has gone from a press conference featuring this actress. Well, I mean, she actually works for Devolver, but she has an alter ego when she goes up and presents the press conferences. They had her do it one year, and it got a little weird, and then it got really weird the next year, where she like died or became a robot or both or other stuff happening. And now this year, all of that is kind of revealed to be like one guy's pitch for what they could do for a press conference, and then it goes into a conference room, and everybody's like, "No, we're not doing that idea. It's what are you? That's ridiculous. That's stupid. We would never do that." So it kind of gets all pushed to the side of this was a dream, but then that woman who has played that character of Nina Struthers then also kind of becomes part of this one to pitch a new idea. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was a fun thing. It was the most artistic of press conferences you get from these companies. Devolver, I got to give it to them. They are doing something ambitious and interesting with the way they present stuff. And they showed 8 games. Like, that's it. Like, this is a press conference that took, what was it, like an hour? Was it more than an hour?
No, it was like 45 minutes. 30 minutes.
So they showed 8 games in a relatively short amount of time, but the stuff around it was just so well done and interesting. I think that stuff's cool. So let me run down some of the games here.
Yeah, I'll pull them up here. Are you just going to go down to the website where they have them?
Yes, I think so. Well, no, maybe not. I don't know, because the first thing I have here is not the first thing they have on the website.
Okay. You just let me know what you want me to pull up.
Okay. Maybe just play the whole thing from the beginning, and we'll get to stuff. Okay. Shadow Warrior 3 is the first thing they showed. I don't know a ton about this series other than it looks like Doom, except bigger and dumber and more ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's what this looks like.
It's got a nice look to it. I think
looks crazy.
Yeah, like I'm curious like how it feels, because like one of the things about Doom, I think Doom feels really good. This certainly looks like it's got a good feel to it, but you know, shooters are finicky like that. But, I mean, like this is so dumb. God, this is dumb looking, but it
does look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Maybe instead of showing all this, because we're gonna get all those bits from the thing. Maybe let's just go down the list here.
Okay.
Because the next thing they showed is the first thing here. Even though some of this stuff is out of order, that's okay. The next thing they showed, I believe, is actually from the same developer as Shadow Warrior 3. But it's a little bit different, bit different than the absolutely wild off the wall shit. This is called Trek to Yomi, which is coming out in 2022. Shadow Warrior 3, by the way, is coming out in 2021 for PC, Xbox, and PS4. PS4 specifically. But the next game, Trek to Yomi, coming out in 2022 for PC, Xbox, and PS4.
This looks really good.
This is one of the games of the show for me.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It looks like what Ghost of Tsushima wanted to do in terms of, hey, can we make a Kurosawa film? And then they just kind of put some filters on some stuff and called it a day. Like, this looks more
insane.
like what somebody was going for.
I mean,
and I think they can do that because of its a more limited scope. This is a 2D.
Yeah,
this is essentially a 2D game.
Yeah.
This is if Lorne Lanning was making this, if this was another Oddworld game, they'd call it a 2.9D game. But essentially, it looks like you're going on like a flat 2D plane.
Yeah.
But there's 3D environments, 3D models, samurai game. It just looks fucking gorgeous.
It's really neat looking, man. They got everything down from the specs hitting on the film, and like I guarantee you the sound of this is just perfect. I love the different angles that you're getting here, the silhouetting that they're doing, I think is just so fucking good. I want to know more about how it plays. I want to know about story. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in here.
Like the thing I would point to, this feels like Inside to me.
Yeah.
Like somebody made it an Inside,
Yep.
but it's with samurai, and it looks cool as hell.
Absolutely.
It's so good. The next game on their list is Wizard with a Gun.
Man,
this is coming out in 2022 for Switch and PC. Wizard with a Gun has it feels like it's probably going to be so they say on their site it's an online cooperative sandbox survival game.
Yep.
Does that mean roguelike? Because it looks kind of like a roguelike to me.
In a way, yeah, I think that it could be. I'm very fascinated by what they're doing here with this one. I think that
it seems like it's a lot of mixing stuff. Like you have like it looks like you have a type of gun, but you also have like some magic modifier that is separate that can go on some other stuff. It reminds me a lot of something like Hades or Transistor from Supergiant.
Yep.
Where it's like, hey, we have these normalish attacks, but you can have these different modifiers that change them in very profound ways that will really switch up the gameplay. It's got a really slick look to it.
Yeah.
It actually, I mentioned Hades and Transistor, but I actually think the action looks a little bit more Bastion.
Yep, I would agree with that.
The way that you're going around and shooting, it had a good look. It looked kind of impressive to me.
Yeah, I'm all in on Wizard with the Gun. I think that this one is very neat looking. And they don't have a date for that one, correct?
Just 2022.
Okay.
Sometime next year. The next game here is Inscription, which Bobby, let me ask you a question. Is there such a thing as a horror card game?
I love everything about this game. I think
this game looks scary as fuck, but also it's a card game, and I don't know how that's possible.
So, I mean, look, we've been playing a lot of games that are deck builders here on the show, but you and I have talked multiple times, like, we play a lot of cards with our families outside of video games and podcasting, and so I think that this is doing some very interesting things. It reminds me a bit of The Witch. I know that you don't watch scary movies, but it reminds me a little bit of The Witch.
No, thank you.
But again, like, it's just got a style to it. Like, I think that, like, this game, kill the lights, fire it up, get some weird cards. Like, I think this would be really neat. I would love if that game was on like my Oculus and I could play this in VR. I think that'd be really cool.
This feels like Firewatch meets True Detective.
Yeah.
But also a card game.
Yeah.
Season one of True Detective. The only real season they made, right?
Correct.
Season 3 was okay. Two was bad, but season 3 was all right. Next thing on their list here is Devolver Tumble Time, which I found interesting. I don't think they really showed any direct gameplay of in the actual. I don't want to call it a press conference, but that's the only term I have for this that I can think of. But in their event video, it was mainly just like people playing on their phones, or you could see them away from their phones, but it wasn't showing a lot of like the action that's happening on screen. So I don't 100% know what this is. It's free.
Well, didn't they say that they're trying to bring a lot, like, I don't want to call it like Apple Arcade, but aren't they wanting to have some sort of like mobile platform for Devolver?
That's kind of the problem when they're showing Devolver Max Pass Plus.
I know.
How much do I trust when it comes to some of this other bullshit they're doing? Like they're talking about monetization.
Right.
They're talking about like even this. Let me read the thing. Devolver Tumble Time is the future of physics-based puzzle gameplay, elegant monetization, and strategic brand integration. Choose characters from a packed roster of your favorite Devolver Digital games and rack up big points, matching and clearing their impossibly adorable heads from the tumbler. Get hyped enough and unleash each character's special ability to clear huge chunks and earn power-ups to create chaotic chain reactions, then maybe watch some entertaining ads because nothing is ever really free. So I don't know. I don't know how much of this is fake.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
But it sounds like a free-to-play puzzle game. It is on your phones, so
Okay.
you can pre-register for it now. It says coming to mobile in 2021. I couldn't call out all the characters in here. Like looking at this key art thing, I can clearly see a bullet from Enter the Gungeon. I can see baseball bat chicken mask, so that's a Hotline Miami. I see a Minute character. And outside of that, it's like I don't know if I know some of these other guys. Oh, there's the face from Reigns.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see it back there.
Yeah, like there's no carrion monster. I can tell you that.
Not gonna
Let's
show
move
up
on
here.
to Death's. Let's move on to Death's Door. That comes out June 22nd, so this month, and this is so I think this got called an adventure game where no one can die anymore, but you are like some crow character. I think it's got a really good look to it. But you're a crow character who has to kind of go into these different worlds, and let me just read their thing here.
It looks so damn good.
It's got a great look to it for sure. Thrust players into a quirky and curious world where crows are in charge of collecting the souls of the dead. Reaping souls and punching a clock might get monotonous, but it's honest work for a crow. The job gets lively when your assigned soul is stolen and you must track down a desperate thief to a realm untouched by death. Creatures grow far past their expiry, and overflow with greed and power. I have June 22nd, but this says coming to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC on July 20th. So
I think it might be. I think it is July.
Yeah, I made a mistake there. It looks like it's July 20th.
I think it looks really good.
It's got kind of a Hyperlight Drifter look to it in the way that the combat works. I think that looks pretty good. But yeah, looks pretty slick.
Yeah.
Then we got Phantom Abyss, which we already talked about previously on the Day of the Devs.
Yep.
So we can just kind of skip through that one.
We talked about Shadow Warrior.
Yeah, we talked about Shadow Warrior. This one I don't remember actually being in the show.
Terranil.
This is Terranil, which I've heard of, and it looks really cool. They're billing it as a reverse city builder.
Yep.
That is about like taking a dying environment and adding some technology to start to bring back the ecosystem, and then removing that technology to leave a clean, nice, fresh earth. It looks good.
I like tinkering games. I like building shit a lot in video games, and this is something I've never like experienced in a game. Like usually you're doing the opposite, and I think you even mentioned when we were playing some Satisfactory on stream, it's like, oh wow, you're going to this planet and literally like just pillaging it with all this equipment, and this seems to be doing the opposite of what Satisfactory is. I could be down for this for sure. It looks really neat.
Yep. It also has a nice look to it. It seems like a cool thing. It says release date to be announced, so we'll have to look into Terranil. And then the last thing they announced, I think, is the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
It kind of goes in with some of the other stuff they've been talking about here in terms of monetization of services, of them kind of getting away from some of that. There are a couple of NFT jokes in the conference video itself. They talk about how actually the weirdest announcement came after this one that we're about to talk about, but I think ties into what we're doing here. That whole conference that we saw that is online, you can just watch it now. They in the conference itself, they talk about how they're going to make a tape of the conference.
Yes.
And they're going to sell that one copy of the tape, and they've broken the tab off the tape so it can't be copied. You can't make more versions of this other than just watching it online, which you could absolutely do. but they're calling it a non-fuckwithable tape, an NFT, if you will.
Non-fuckwithable tape.
So so kind of tying into some of that non-fungible bullshit. Here's a thing. They're making a physical game. Not just are they making a physical game, it is a physical only game. And I don't understand
On the
what
Switch,
this
right? Is
is.
this exclusive to the Switch?
Yes, it is. It's called Demon Throttle. It is a 1 to 2 player top-down shooter. It looks weird. It looks fun.
Yeah.
And it's coming to Switch in 2022, and it's only being sold physically by I cannot remember the I can't remember the company they said. Is it here? Special Reserve Games. So Special Reserve Games.
Chase, we just got a pretty awesome raid, by the way.
Oh, hey, look at that. Hi,
thank you so much, Film. How's it going, everybody? I'm Bobby. That's Chase. We're 2/3 of the casual hour, and we're just recapping some E3 tonight. I had to work today, so Chase is giving me all the goods, and we're breaking down some of the footage. We're wrapping up Devolver right now.
Yeah, we're finishing up Devolver here. The last game they showed is this physical only, which I just think is the most odd thing.
Yeah, totally.
The physical only game called Demon's Throttle. Top-down shooter game, 1 to 2 players. I don't even think it has online play. I think it's local co-op only. But it seems very crazy, very silly. My problem with it, it's $30. The cheapest copy you can get on the site. You can pre-order right now, and it's $30.
I know.
And I don't know if this is a $30 game. It looks cool. Like, look at this thing. I love the art style
to it for sure, and I think that there's something to be said about what they were going for. Like, this was the cherry on top of their presentation. Like, all the shit they were trying to do with the NFTs you mentioned. Like, hey, we're going to go for this tape, but here we have, like, you can only get this as a physical media. It's pretty fucking dumb, but really good in the best way possible.
Yeah. And like the chat mentions here, previous game was Gato Roboto, which is a game I love, and we talked about it previously as we were talking here. I don't like Metroidvanias, but I love Gato Roboto, which makes me kind of want to take the dive in here.
Yeah.
But also it's $30, and I don't think this is going to be as fun unless I have somebody to play with. This might be one that I just watch somebody play on YouTube or Twitch to get the experience. But I really like a lot of the stuff they're doing here. It seems kind of cool. Sorry, chat. It's just not my genre. I've tried many times. I watched our friend of the show, Matt Jaguar, Jiggy-san on Twitch. He was recently playing Metroid Fusion for a Game Boy Advance 20th anniversary, and I can watch him. I just don't love playing him. But
I can get into him for sure. They were asking some of the E3 hype traces, like what are some of the we're getting near wrapping up. Actually, was that the final one that we had?
So I mean, I'm fine to keep it rolling. There's one more thing that we can talk about. There was the Guerrilla Collective had their day 2 stream that had a couple other games that we could talk about.
Yeah.
Why don't we do like a little recap right here though?
Yeah.
Since the chat's asking about it.
For sure.
What from what we've talked about here has you most excited? What's stuff that's a definite purchase for Bobby? What stuff just has you interested to hear?
I was super into the Mario and Rabbids shit that we talked about earlier. I thought that looked really good. I do like a lot of what we just saw from Devolver, like Wizard. Was it Wizard Gun or Wizard Gun? That looked awesome. We talked a lot about stuff from the Wholesome stream, and I think that there were some really great looking games there, like Moon Bay was awesome looking.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. What about you? What do you have?
Chat mentioned it, but Trek to Yomi, we were talking about here in Devolver Digital. That thing just looks gorgeous, and if that game is just inside, but with Samurai, I'm all about it.
Let's put that trailer back up here. That thing looks so slick.
Yeah, go for it. Totally fine just having that up.
I can't get over the look of that one for sure.
There were a couple things in the Wholesome Direct. I still think that Tatsumaki seems like a thing I'd be interested in playing around with and just walking around a really cool world.
Yeah.
The Yokai Inn from that looked really good too. I'm still really interested in Skatebird.
Yep.
Uh,
Ghost of
uh,
Tsushima.
that's good. That's a good goop. I appreciate that.
I can get down with that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and then it was from yesterday, but the Metal Slug Tactics, like
That looked awesome.
that is our genre at this point. So I think that's definitely something I'm interested in. Bob, are you good? You want to keep rolling and talk about this Guerrilla Collective stream?
Sure. That sounds great.
Okay.
You want to lead me
Okay.
lead me to it and I can pull it up here?
Yes. Let me grab that. This
The
is
Far
same
Cry
kind
stuff
of thing
also,
as-
while we're talking through that, like that's
Sure.
something I'm super into. I'm really excited what they're doing with 6. I'll pull that back up while you're getting that for me.
Yeah.
I was digging that for sure. And Chorizo is my hero right now for the year. Like I want to see more of Chorizo. While you're doing that, how was the stream that you all came from? Film, how was that going?
Let's see here. Some of these things are new to me. I haven't even watched some of these things. Some of these things are really good. Like this Origami 2 has a real Tenchu vibe to it,
Yeah, I'll pull that
which
up
I
really
don't
quick.
hate. So this might be a little bit of live reaction here.
Mary and Max. Dude, have you heard about that?
I've not.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Let me pull that up. 2009 film.
Mary and Max.
Not familiar, but it looks cool. It's got like a I almost fell into that same trap. I was bitching earlier about everybody saying anime games just look like Studio Ghibli films, and I almost fell into the trap of saying like, oh, it's got like a Tim Burton look to it, where it's like I'm sure that's a very unfair comparison to just say
really
anything
awesome.
that looks slightly claymation is Tim Burton. Boy.
So is like you all just watch a movie on stream and hang out? That sounds really cool. That's awesome.
Nice. We should watch a movie on stream. Bobby, if we were going to watch a movie on stream, what movie would you want to see with me?
Well, you'd probably want to show me. I want you to show me one of your favorite anime movies. You've been
trying... I didn't. Yeah. Okay. I was asking what you wanted to see though. Like, I certainly.
I want to watch that. It's not a movie, but you've talked a lot about. You talked about that one anime that's like camping. That sounds really cool. Like where they all go camping.
Oh yeah, Eurocamp. I think that. Yeah, I think you would like Eurocamp as a person who enjoys the great outdoors.
Yeah,
that's a fun, relaxing one for sure.
We had, or at least I had a drink tonight while reviewing some E3 stuff. Little local flavor here from Missouri.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, can't watch on Twitch with copyright, but.
So Chase, this is Origami. This looks really cool. A little bit more stealth.
Like some 3D, some stealth that we don't have enough of these kinds of games. Like Dishonored is 3D stealth, but it's got its own kind of world to it. Certainly not going for a ninja thing. It's more of a European vibe, and this is definitely a little bit more Asian inspired. I kind of like what I'm seeing here. The one underneath that, Fire Girl.
Sure.
It says it's a 2D action puzzle affair where you're trying to save civilians, and it's it's kind of interesting. We were talking about Trek to Yomi,
yes.
And this has also kind of that same 2D look to it.
Yeah,
where you're going around 2D planes. This is definitely a little more actiony, a little more silly than the more like.
I'm assuming it's time-based to a degree as well.
I'm not sure. I'm not seeing any timers up here.
Huh. Okay.
It's got a good look to it though.
Heck yeah.
Let's skip through a couple of these. I did watch a couple of these trailers. I watched the trailer for Akatori.
How's that?
Which is a 2D. It looked okay. I mean, it reminded me a little of some old DS games that I liked. The Henry Hatsworth game, and then Monster Tale, because it was a
Mhm.
lot of like 2D, a lot of juggling 2D action stuff that I thought looked kind of cool. And this one, you're able to like switch between a couple of dimensions as you fight, and bounce back and forth between some stuff, and that seemed all right.
Checking out Hunt the Night right now.
Okay.
Looks to be a little bit more kind of like some Zelda, old school top-down Zelda look to it.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. This seems it's got actually this is really giving me vibes of oh, I just mentioned it, the Heart Machine game, not Solar Ash, but the Hyperlight Drifter,
Yeah,
where you're kind of dashing around.
for sure.
This kind of top-down 2D stuff. Looks like there's some puzzle solving to it. Yeah, that seems all right. That is not what I expected the game to look like when I
No.
clicked on the YouTube thing. It had more of like a wow, I just can't remember game names anymore. What's the game? Banner Saga. There we go. Had more of like a Banner Saga look to it, where it was a little bit more artistic for sure.
Oh my gosh, a roguelike deck builder. This is here we go.
Which one?
This one's called Demon's Mirror.
Mirror.
So that right there, let me back that up. Remember that Grindstone game?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's got a little bit of that going on with it here as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, with like a match 3 puzzle game going on inside, or more than match 3. Yeah.
Oh, we got to watch this one.
Which one?
I'm pulling it up right now. This is we've been talking about this one for a while. Wolfstride. Holy shit, man!
Have we been talking about it, or have you? I don't
We've
know
talked
if I
about
remember
this like a year and a half, 2 years ago when they started to show it. It looks so damn good.
Another Raw Fury game.
Yep.
Raw Fury is just making some really nice stuff these days. Oh yeah. Now that I'm seeing this in action.
This like crazy mech builder.
Yep.
Just such a
that's
badass style to it.
That is definitely a cool thing. And then, I mean, we gotta talk. We've already talked about Sable, but it's worth mentioning Sable again. I know that
if you want to talk about style, we got more style for you. We got style for days here at the Casual Hour.
So good. September 23rd can't get here soon enough.
But this Tuesday, if you have an Xbox, you can get a playable demo of this.
That's true. That's a good point.
And we mentioned earlier, this has a complete original score from Japanese Breakfast, which she performed one of her tracks live at Summer Games Fest. Sounded really good. Definitely check that out. This style is just, man, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and we're getting so damn close to it. It looks great. Love it.
Well, Bobby, what do you say? I mean, I know there's plenty of other stuff here that we could talk about. We've got another big day of E3 coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why don't we run down what's happening tomorrow? I don't know if we'll do another stream tomorrow night. Maybe it's possible. Who knows? It depends on how excited we get for some of this stuff and what our plans end up being. But we can move in here. It is
Chat's asking about some of the things that we're hoping for. Tomorrow's a really big day. Like
tomorrow. Let's run down what's happening, and then we can say kind of what we're thinking.
For sure.
So in terms of like the bigger stuff, at noon Central, we're in Central time here, so those are the times we'll be using. Noon we'll get the Xbox and Bethesda game showcase. At 2:15 we will get the Square Enix broadcast. At 4 p.m. we'll get Warner Brothers games, which will be showing Back for Blood. They mentioned on this Polygon article. At 4:30 is the PC gaming show. I'm not a PC gamer, but I have found that show specifically year to year to be one of the better ones. Has a lot of really cool
I'm really excited for that one.
And then at 6 p.m. is the Future Game Show, and that also usually is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So based on that, if we're talking more specifically about Xbox, Bethesda, and Square, those are probably the big ones that we're going to be talking about tomorrow.
I mean,
what are you kind of hoping for from these guys?
I want to know what Starfield is. For better or worse, like I want to know what that is. I'm curious what Bethesda under Microsoft looks like, if any different at all. But I do think that, you know, like it's weird. Like this year's been fucked. Last year was fucked. And I think games and all other kind of content getting pushed around has been really different. But I look at Microsoft has, I think, the most to gain from a really strong conference tomorrow. They haven't had anything really stellar exclusively since their new series consoles have been out. I know that Halo is going to be shown, and I know that people were really upset with how Halo looked. And I think that, you know, we've got a lot of love for Halo around here. I mean, I haven't played some of the newer ones, but I got a lot of fun nostalgia for it. And I feel if they can't stick the landing on Halo tomorrow, that could really be kind of a big blow for them and for a lot of people. I want to see something for Fable. Like, I'm really curious about Fable and what that looks like from that studio that's working on it. I don't expect to see a lot, but I'd like to see more than what they've shown so far. Microsoft has for the last 3 years been touting all the studios that they've been collecting, and I think Phil has done a damn good job of focusing the company where it needs to be. And tomorrow, I hope that you get to see, like, I'd like to see Microsoft go up there and really get to take a bow for the work that they've been doing. Like, they put their heads down the last generation, they continue to do so, and what they've been doing with Game Pass is just remarkable. So for me, I want to see Fable. I'd like to see Halo show up strong for Microsoft. I want to know what Starfield is. And selfishly, from like a Game Pass perspective, I'd like to see if they're talking about bringing that to smart televisions. I'd like to see that demoed, and being able to have an app you can download on the TV outside of like playing on mobile sounds really cool to take advantage of it for sure. So those are for Microsoft. That's some big ones for me.
I'm going to focus more on the Square side. That's kind of where more I care about. I mean, I am interested in Halo. I'd like to see where that game has shaped up since last time, where it was not so impressive. But from Square, I want to hear more about Forspoken. That was something they announced.
It looked really good.
Somewhat recently, but we didn't see much about it. I'd like to get to learn a little bit more about that. We got I would say a decently sized trailer for Final Fantasy 16, but I think this would be a good time to learn more about Final Fantasy 16. There was a Dragon Quest live stream a week ago, 2 weeks ago,
a couple weeks,
and they showed off a couple of things. And one of those things was an HD 2D remake, so the same style basically that we've gotten from Octopath Traveler.
Yeah,
we're getting one of those for Dragon Quest 3, which I think is really exciting. I would love to play that game, and I would love to play that game in that context. That sounds awesome. So I'd love to hear more about that and see a little bit more of the game than what we saw at the Dragon Quest thing. They also announced a Dragon Quest 12 there, but they like gave it like the tiniest little tease.
The adult Dragon Quest.
Yeah. I don't know if we're gonna actually hear anything more about that, but this would be an okay time to do that, I suppose. They'd have a bigger audience for sure. At least a bigger Western audience to see what Dragon Quest 12 would be. And then so we heard there's that rumor going around that there's that Marvel XCOM game, like a Marvel game that is in the XCOM style. Does that fall under Square Enix?
Could. I mean, I don't know. Like, chat was also talking about the potential Guardians of the Galaxy game not being, games as a service, and I think I gave a hot take to you and Johnny, or the co-host, offline, that I think the Ultimate Alliance branding would serve really well for the XCOM, because they could just blend everybody in there without the likeness. Because I think that was a pretty big problem for a lot of people. That, well, there's a lot of things wrong with that Avengers game, but the likeness to the MCU, that close to the MCU, was a problem for sure.
So the problem with that, if it is Ultimate Alliance, and we don't know a lot about this Marvel XCOM rumor game, so we don't know Square. If it's not Square, then I could totally see the Ultimate Alliance thing happening. But if it is Square, the publisher for Ultimate Alliance was Activision, so I think Activision still owns the Ultimate Alliance franchise.
I don't know, man. Like, it would be really shitty. I'm sorry, it would be really shitty if Square did anything else with the Avengers or Marvel until they fix that fucking game. Spider-Man's not even out there yet, and they promise that to all those PlayStation people. Get Spider-Man in the game, and then we'll talk.
So again, we aren't sure. That XCOM tactical game might not even be a Square thing. That might be a completely other thing, which probably would be the better bet right now. Like, Square should work out some of its own shit before it worries about making more games.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably. Oh, you know what? Project Triangle Strategy. That's give that game a real name.
Yeah.
Speaking of the HD 2D stuff, give that game a real name. Tell us the stuff that you've done to improve it since the beta demo-y thing that went out there earlier. That's a game I think could be really, really cool. It did need some tweaks after playing that demo. In my opinion, to make that game really, truly special. But I think it has the potential to get there. So I would love to hear more about that.
Totally.
And then, being super selfish, put Dragon Quest IX on the Switch. You won't do that. You've got other Dragon Quest shit that you're worried about. If you were going to mention
give the man
that,
what he wants. Give Chase what he wants. I'm tired of hearing about it. We got to help Chase out.
Just give it here. Just please, just give it.
Well, Chase, as we wrap up, I just want to we got a lot of new faces that swung by the stream tonight.
Yeah.
And it really means a lot. Thank you all so much for hanging out. And the raid was awesome. That really made our night. We don't typically stream on Saturday nights. This is a rare occurrence for us. We're typically, Mondays and Fridays playing some games here on stream. We've been a podcast for 5 years. We just actually hit our 5-year anniversary just like a week ago. And we've been streaming now for just a few months. Really during the pandemic, we started to do this a bit more. We thought it'd be fun to interact with our community a little bit more that way. So we're still getting our footing with streaming and scheduling and what that looks like. Johnny, our other co-host, he's out of town with his family this weekend, but he'll be back Wednesday night. So Wednesday nights is when we actually record our podcast live, and we're going to do a full-blown E3 recap that night. So we might do our top picks that night. What did we get? What did we miss? That sort of thing. Chase and I
and it'll be the day after Nintendo and some of the other stuff that's happening on Tuesday. So we'll have some. We probably won't cover all the stuff we covered tonight, other than maybe calling out a couple of our favorites.
For sure.
So we'll definitely talk about some new stuff here on Wednesday.
Chase and I on Monday nights we do something really cool called Casual Mondays, and we've been playing through a series of video games over the last several weeks, focusing a little bit more on deck builders or strategy games. We've really hit it off with this game called Fights in Tight Spaces. We actually had the developer come on the show with us and play alongside of us. We're going to go back to that game on this Monday. They just did a pretty big update around E3 with some new decks and some mechanics, so we're going to check that back out on Monday night. And then Friday nights are kind of just a wild card night for us. Usually if a new game comes out, we play it there. The last 2 weeks, we've gone back to No Man's Sky and done some really cool space exploration with that. But that's kind of what we do here. Our show, we have a few different types of shows that we do for our actual podcast. It's posted Fridays at 9 a.m. So if you don't watch the stream, you can always listen along any place where podcasts can be found. But our standard episode's called a What You've Been Playing. The three of us bring a new game or games each week that we've been checking out, or an older game that we've never got to. And then we cover the news. We do a deep dive once a month where one of us picks a topic and brings it to the other two and goes over it. This past week, Chase, he got us all a 2002 copy of Game Informer from April, and we all picked some stories and things from that magazine, and we all went through it together and had a fucking blast talking through this fucking timepiece that we were able to unpack, and Chase did an awesome job with that. And then the last week of the month, or close to the last week of the month, we always do a games preview episode where we break down the games from the following or the prior month that we liked the best, and then we go over the games that are coming out the next month, and then we do our picks there as well. So we've got a lot of great content. As you can see, we got a few things with Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that fun stuff as well. We're at the Casual Hour. You can find us there for sure. But we have a lot of fun. We're still figuring out the stream, as I mentioned, and it's been really cool. Very, very, very cool element for our show. Chase, I don't know if you want to pitch what you're doing with Super Robots War 2.
I got a couple other things I do outside of Casual Hour. I'm right now, if you guys like obscure relatively obscure Japanese games that never got official releases over here. I'm playing through Super Robot Wars X. It's a 2018 turn-based strategy game with a lot of Gundams and other Japanese mech robot anime characters in there. That's been pretty fun. And then I have another podcast I do called Gamers on the Go that is all about handheld video games. And I bring on a guest each time, and we talk about some handheld game or franchise or piece of hardware. And that's really fun. I'm actually recording a new episode of that tomorrow, and that should go up sometime over the course of next week. I might wait to publish it until after all the E3 craziness is done. But yeah, it's a fun show. I'm really excited for the next one. I got one of my best friends to come on and talk about a game I've been bugging him to play for years.
Awesome.
And he finally did, and he loved it, which makes me super happy and also makes me feel very vindicated. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about how his experience was and about that game.
That's awesome, man. And thank you for the shout out on the layout. It's been a lot of fun to learn how to do that. So I've been doing all the design stuff, trying to figure that out and plan around different layouts. We've got a few different ones for like some of our chattings, or when Chase and I do the Casual Monday stuff that we can bring up. And that's been a ton of fun. Actually, I might be able to show off one of the Casual Monday ones really quick. I think it'll work with the layout we got. Let's find out here. Yeah. Well, Chase, you're crooked again. I'll have to get your window right. But this is our Casual Monday.
No, wait, no.
Other way.
Hey,
yeah.
hi, I'm here. I'm still around.
But yeah, we have a good time with it for sure, and it just means a lot that you all hung out with us tonight to talk about E3. A super exciting time for games and media, and this Saturday night turned out to be quite the surprise. So that worked out really well.
Yeah. And hey, if all of our predictions come true tomorrow, let's do this again tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that we could absolutely make it work. Johnny should be back from the farm tomorrow night, and should be able to hop on if we want him here. I don't know if we want Johnny. We got better Johnny in the chat, so we can just use him.
He'll have a lot of stuff to catch up on by the time he gets back, so it might be tough for him, but we'll see.
And thank you for the shout outs on the transitions and stuff. We are trying to get this thing pieced together the best that we can. And we'd love to tune in and check out some of the movie review stuff. I did a lot of stuff in college with film and still follow quite a bit of it, so it'd be great to tune in and hang out with all of you watching and recapping that. Love to have you swing back by, and thank you all for the follows. The new E3 thing that I threw together before the show tonight, usually we have alerts that pop up when people start to follow us, and of course the night that we get the followers, it's all like, hey, you missed all of them, you idiot, because you got this E3 thing pulled up. Oh, I didn't mention the YouTube, the quick looks that we do.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so really quick before we hop off here, Chase and I, and Johnny sometimes as well, we do shorter format videos on YouTube where it's just like us talking over gameplay. Can be a new release, could be an older game that we're checking out. And it's more of just like, we call them quick looks because they're just that, a very quick look at the early mechanics and some story beats of games.
We totally didn't steal that format from anybody else. Totally original idea.
Yeah, we're the Midwestern Giant Bomb, basically. Discount dollar bin Giant Bomb over here. But yeah, check us out on
some of the ones that we did recently.
We put out 2 this past week. We had one for Stonefly, which that's a really kick-ass little bug-sized mech game. And then we had one for Griftlands, which is from Clay Studios. They just put out their 1.0 release of that really cool negotiation, battling deck builder. So that there's 2 quick looks up for that. Those are a ton of fun. We've been doing quite a bit of those. Usually we put one up on Tuesday, and then we put one up on Thursday, and a lot of our content drops at 9 a.m. Central. So podcasts, quick looks, all that stuff gets updated, and we usually post all that over to Twitter. So we usually just communicate out on Twitter, like when we have new stuff going there. If there's a game that you think we should check out, if you have any ideas what you'd like to see there, if you want us to do a deep dive on something, we love community feedback, love to include people and have that on here. So we are, again, I'm Bobby from the Casual Hour. That's Chase. Johnny's usually here with us. But we're going to sign off here. I got to 8-week-old corgi I got to take outside and make sure that he's doing okay. And then I got to get some sleep because he's been keeping me up. But Chase, thank you. Thanks for making this work tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting all the information together. It's been a lot of fun for sure.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Looking forward to seeing some of your faces, or your names at least.
Yeah.
When we do this next time.
Cool. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.